Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming to you from right here on my YouTube channel. I am, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news and all sorts of good things. And, of course, it's Wednesday, so one Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett is here, ladies and gentlemen. Robert, how you doing today, sir?
John, you know, it's always a good day when a new Tom Clancy based movie trailer drops. We got WandaVision in how many hours? There's just exciting stuff all the way around, and I'm here for it, John. I'm here for it.
There is a lot of good stuff for us to talk about here today, and we are, wait a second, what are we, today is Wednesday, so 24 plus 12 plus 14, we're 36 hours. 36 hours. No, 38 hours. 38 hours from the WandaVision finale. We are going to be talking a little bit about WandaVision here today, of course, and we've got a lot of stuff that we're going to talk about. And guys, it is wonderful to have you here joining us. Thank you so much. There's a lot of things you could be doing today. The fact that you choose to hang out with us and some other members of the film fan community and TV fan community is awesome, and we are very, very glad you're here. All right, guys, listen, here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to go through some predetermined topics first, and then in the second half of the show, we're going to go start taking your live comments, questions, and observations. If you'd like to get a live comment or question on the or observation on the show, simply go down and use the tip link that's in the description of this video, or you could enter it in manually at streamelements.com/movieblogtv/tip. You'll be getting your comment or question on the show if it's reasonable, and of course, you'll be supporting the show at the same time. And all of us involved here at the John Campea Show, thank you guys very, very much for that support. All right, guys, before we get to our main topics, let's get into some off the tops, and we're going to start with this. Rob, in the age of the pandemic, and by the way, Iconic Reactions sends in a super chat badge in the live chat. Thank you, Iconic Reactions. In the age of the pandemic, a lot of films have been postponed, and some films that haven't been postponed and they're going alternate routes, like whether it's on Amazon or Netflix or whatever, tend to fly a little bit under the radar. One that we knew about for a while, but that has sort of flown under our radar, is the new Michael B. Jordan film based on the Clancy novel, Without Remorse. And that is something I've been looking forward to, at least when I remembered that it was coming. That's when I was looking forward to. And here we are. The trailer for Without Remorse has dropped. And Rob, I'll tell you, I saw the headline for it earlier, and I thought, I'll just check that out later tonight or tomorrow. Then I got on with you this morning. You and I started talking this morning, and you were like, have you seen the Without Remorse trailer? I'm like, no, I just figured I'll watch it later. And you're like, it's really good. I'm like, all right, I'll go watch it. And I went and watched it, and it is fantastic. What now? For those of you who don't know, this is in the Jack Ryan universe.
It's really the first Jack Ryan book.
It really?
I mean, chronologically.
Well, explain it a little bit to people here, Rob.
Well, so John Clark, the character of John Clark, we saw him as Willem Dafoe in movies like Clear and Present Danger. He was played by Liev Schreiber in Sum of All Fears. He's a CIA operative that frequently worked with Jack Ryan. But Without Remorse is sort of his origin story and how he basically comes to join the CIA after he suffers, let's call it a family tragedy, and kind of it's a revenge novel. And I really liked it a lot. But again, I'm a huge fan of the Jack Ryan universe. I mean, I hadn't read a Jack Ryan novel since when I'd seen Hunt for Red October, but then I went back and read Hunt for Red October and then read Storm Rising and then all of the Jack Ryan novels. And I became a huge fan. And then Without Remorse. And I miss Tom Clancy, but I miss those movies, John. I miss those, Patriot Games and Clear and Present Danger and Sum of All Fears, and especially Hunt for Red October. I just love these big, beefy, meaty, military action adventure stories that deal with politics and warfare, and we just don't get them anymore. Not like that. And this looks, Tyler Sheridan wrote it. I know he's a favorite of yours.
Oh, dude, if you guys don't know the name Tyler Sheridan, okay, so he wrote Hell or High Water.
Yeah.
Awesome. He wrote Wind River, which I believe he also directed, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Awesome. He wrote Sicario. Awesome. Taylor, and he used to be a cast member in the first couple of seasons of Sons of Anarchy. Awesome. But he's anything he writes, because remember, you and I were talking, Rob, and I just about jumped out of my chair. I'm like, wait a minute, Taylor Sheridan wrote this? And if I wasn't already excited by that trailer, dude, that took me there. So question is, guys, have you had a chance to see this Without Remorse trailer? I highly recommend you go and check it out. It looks like a winner. I mean, who knows? Maybe the trailer is garbage, or maybe the movie is garbage. We won't know till we see it, but the trailer is all kinds of fantastic. What did you guys think? Jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's go on to another off the top, and then it's this. Speaking of being in the age of the pandemic, Rob, obviously one of the hardest hit industries is, of course, the movie industry, in particular, the movie theaters. Not AMC so much, because they had $8 million to hand out in executive bonuses, apparently, but F those guys. But it has been a very, very tough time for the movie theaters, and we just saw another kind of hint of that today, as this morning news has come out that popular movie theater chain, and not the biggest one, but certainly a popular one, Alamo Drafthouse, has officially filed for bankruptcy. Things have been rough for these theaters. It is tough to have a movie industry business where you're renting these places that could cost in excess of $300,000 to $1 million a month for rent, and keep the lights on and keep things going. Now, apparently, don't worry too much. Like, Alamo Drafthouse will survive. They're having to sell all their assets to another investor group. They're going to reorganize their rent payments and leases and all these kinds of things, and they will come out on the other side of this. By the way, Sneaker Bros sends in a super chat badge in the live chat. Thank you, Sneaker Bros. They are apparently going to come out of this. Now, Rob, it also looks a little shady, because the chairman of Alamo Drafthouse is a guy by the name of Tim League, who I have had some philosophical issues with over the years. But Tim League is the chairman and kind of part of the ownership group. And the ownership group they're selling the assets to is an ownership group that also involves Tim League. So it kind of looks like they're going to end up getting bankruptcy protection while not actually moving anything around, really. But I'm sure it's being done all appropriately and being done like that. But Rob, again, it's just another sign and another signal in the sky that things have been really rough, and we're starting now to see some of the real repercussions there on a popular entity like Alamo Drafthouse. Rob, you hear about this news. What's your take on it?
Well, I mean, obviously, Tim League has been, I guess he's the heart and soul of the Alamo Drafthouse. I look, anything that can keep movie theaters alive through this, I'm all for. I think it probably hasn't been easy for them. They've expanded quite a bit in the last couple of years. I know they finally made it here into the LA market, and I think they're doing whatever they need to do to survive. And Chapter 11 is a restructuring thing, and I'm hoping it all works out, because I like what they do at the Alamo Drafthouse. I think that you've been there, right? The LA one?
Oh yeah, I've been to the LA one. It's a really nice theater.
Yeah, and I hope it sticks around.
Now, And now everybody should keep in mind, too, that when you hear that a company has filed for Chapter 11, that doesn't mean they're going out of business necessarily. Like, a lot of the times, what it means is they file for certain protections from the court against their debtors that allows them to then restructure, refinance, and propose new ways to pay off existing debts and to keep moving forward as a business. But the only way they can do that is if they get those temporary protections. So this is actually a plan by Alamo Drafthouse to stay in business. Now, obviously, it's still not a good sign. It does mean they're in difficult shape, but this is a move that's being done to keep them in business. So don't expect that this news. Now, they will be closing. The news article did say, Rob, that they are going to be closing a number of their locations. It didn't give an exact number of how many locations, but apparently they will have to shut down some of them. But Alamo Drafthouse will continue to endure, at least for now. And by the way, Donaldo Martinez sends in a super chat badge in the live chat. Thank you, Donaldo. Appreciate that, man. The question is for you guys. Have you guys gone to Alamo Drafthouse? It's a really good theater experience if you have not. What do you think about this news? Do you think they're going to ultimately survive? Jump down into the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's do one more off the top, shall we? And we're also going to talk about another movie theater chain here, Rob. We were just talking about Alamo Drafthouse. Now we're going to talk about another good theater chain. Cinemark theaters. Now, we all know that Raya and the Last Dragon, a movie I reviewed the other day, it's a very good movie. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Raya and the Last Dragon is coming out. It's going to be hitting on the 5th, I believe, in a couple of days. It's going to be hitting Disney Plus, and it'll be opening up in about 2,000 screens across the country as theaters have, been reopening. Here's the catch. Apparently, though, Cinemark will not be one of those theater chains to be playing it. At the heart of it, and the reports have not gone into incredible detail, but it seems like at the heart of it is whenever a movie is coming out, the distributor and the theater chains work out basically a lease deal, if you will. Like, you get to play the movie in your theaters. We will play your movie in our theaters. You get this, we get this, you get that, we get the other thing. And they work out a deal for each individual film. Sometimes they negotiate them in block deals. Sometimes it's individually. Disney is notorious for being a-holes, I guess is a way to put it, when it comes to trying to negotiate those deals with theaters. Quite often they try to strong-arm the theaters and stuff like that. They very much play dirty sometimes. I mean, not unscrupulously, not unethically, but they play a little bit dirty when it comes to that. And apparently with them releasing Raya and the Last Dragon also on Disney Plus, Cinemark said, well, that's got to be reflected in our deal. Warner Brothers has reflected the fact that they're going day and date with some of their movies right now in their deals. Other distributors are as well. You can't just get the regular deal when you're also putting this out on there. And apparently Disney's come in with even stronger terms than what they normally will, to which Cinemark said, no way, we're not doing that. And now look, everybody knows I love Disney. I love Disney movies. I love all that kind of stuff. But good for Cinemark. Good for Cinemark. Look, I'll never blame anybody, Rob. It ain't, as you always say, it ain't show friends, it's show business. I'll never blame anyone for trying to leverage a position of advantage in making business deals. That's smart business. That's what you need to do. And if Disney sees themselves as being in a strong position right now, and they think they can enforce stronger terms on another company that's in a disadvantage right now, hey man, that's business. But good for Cinemark for planting their foot down and saying, no, we're not going to let you screw us over. We're not going to bend over for you and then say, thank you, sir, may I have another? We're not going to do that. Now, I believe, Rob, like a lot of times these deals will happen last second. And I believe you will see Raya and the Last Dragon on Cinemark screens. I think right now it's Disney and Cinemark seeing just how much give they can get the other to give up. And I think they'll compromise. I think it'll happen. I don't know that for sure. I don't have any insider information. But I think good on Cinemark for standing their ground and planting their foot and saying, no, we're not going to let you take advantage of us. These are the terms we need. And I think they'll work it out. Rob, you see this. What do you think is going to come out of the woodwork here?
Well, it's hard. I think it's hard to say. I mean, theaters are in a fight for their lives right now, John. And I think what they're looking for is they want to have support from the studios that supply them with their very lifeblood, which is movies. And it gets very hard, I think, from the exhibitor's side to have any faith that the studios have their best interest at heart. And I have to say, I don't think the studios do have their best interest at heart. I think that ultimately, I believe, and I think a lot of people believe, that a theatrical run for a movie adds value to that film overall. If it does well in theaters, we know that movie's worth something. If Endgame makes $3 billion in the movie theaters, it's going to have a much more high-profile run on any cable or physical media or whatever ancillary market it's in. So theatrical releases add value. But again, when you're undercutting by releasing day and date, like Warner Brothers is doing this year, and Disney now is doing with Raya, and is it Raya or Raya?
Raya.
Raya, then I get it. I get where the ire comes from. However, Bob Chapek, he was speaking outside of a Disney investor event the other day and said, we might have to shorten these theatrical windows. The world is changing and they have to figure out a way to make it work. And if we're down to a 30 or 45-day window for exhibitors, then people are going to have to be like, well, are they going to go out to the movie theaters or wait 30 days? I mean, it's a new world and it's being reforged every single day. And I want movie theaters to survive, but I have a feeling that unless it's something like Avengers Endgame, we're not going to see a lot of theatrical runs for studio product. I mean, the little things, would that have done well in movie theaters? I don't know, but maybe moving it to HBO Max was the right thing to do. I think a Disney animated feature has a lot of value in the theater. So, I don't know.
All right, question is, guys, what do you think about this? Jump on down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys, with all that down and out of the way, let's now move into our main topics today. And how do we select our main topics here in the John Campea Show? Well, it's really rather simple. You see, you guys come up with them. Whenever you come across a big topic, issue, or story that you think we should have as a main topic here on the show, just go anytime 24/7 over to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Once you guys get there, you're going to see a form. Fill it out with your topic or question. It's totally free. Hit submit, and then maybe, just maybe, you might see your submission featured as a main topic here on the John Campea Show. With that down, let's get into main topic number 1. And our first main topic today gets submitted to us by Bill 4, who writes, "Hey, John and Rob. Dungeons & Dragons just added Hugh Grant and Sophia Lillis to an already pretty stacked cast. Chris Pine, Michelle Rodriguez, I never know how to pronounce Rege's name, Regé-Jean Page, who of course is the star of one of the hottest shows in the world right now, Bridgerton, and Justice Smith from the Pokemon movie. I am now really intrigued with this project. How would you consider your excitement before and after the cast they've currently assembled?" All right, thanks a lot for sending this in, man. And yes, I have been waiting. I'm not going to lie. I have been waiting for someone else to come and take a crack at Dungeons & Dragons. Many of you guys know I am a Dungeons & Dragons player. My wife is a hardcore Dungeons & Dragons player. She even plays with the Wizards of the Coast D&D group. She game masters. She used to game master the Hasbro Dungeons & Dragons game. We're big into Dungeons & Dragons. All right, Rob, we had an entire custom table built for Dungeons & Dragons.
It's beautiful. It's a thing of beauty, John.
We love it. So I've been looking forward to this. Now, I am also a big fan of Chris Pine. So when they announced that Chris Pine was coming on board, I got really excited. I like Justice Smith, Michelle Rodriguez, but this one is really, really intriguing to me. They just announced that Hugh Grant, and I have been actually a low-key Hugh Grant fan for a lot of years. I've been a fan of Hugh Grant for a long time. I really like this dude. And they just cast him as the villain in Dungeons & Dragons. Now, also of note, they also added It actress Sophia Lillis, and she's wonderful. I also call her the young Amy Adams because she looks like she's Amy. Tell me this isn't Amy Adams' clone. I'm sure she was cloned from Amy Adams' DNA at some point. But apparently, they're not quite sure what role she's going to play, but Hugh Grant is going to play the villain. This obviously does increase my excitement a bit. The thing is, I was already so excited for this project, like I said, because I think the world of Dungeons & Dragons, it's a world that a screenwriter can come in and just really play around with. Now, one of the really cool things about this as well is I really like the directors they've got on board, Jonathan Goldstein and Jonathan Francis Daly, who were the directors of Game Night, which I thought Game Night was terrific. And then they were going to, Rob, if you remember, they were going to direct The Flash until Ezra Miller decided, I want them to make the movie my way. And so Goldstein and Daly said, we're out of here. And so they left. And Ezra Miller didn't get the movie he wanted made anyway. They went with somebody else's script. But, so I like the directors. I like the cast. But I'm mostly in love with the idea of them doing a movie in a Dungeons & Dragons world. I think this has a lot of potential. It could be absolutely terrible. I can't imagine it being any worse than the one they did with Jeremy Irons. But whatever. I think this is great. Rob, you hear this news? Hugh Grant's going to be the villain in a Dungeons & Dragons movie with Chris Pine leading it. What do you think about this?
Dude, I love Hugh Grant. I mean, you and I saw The Gentleman together.
Yes,
How great
we
was
did.
Hugh Grant as a kind of a villainous cad in that movie. I mean, I hope he delivers a Alan Rickman, Prince of Thieves / Die Hard take on whatever villainous character he's going to play. But I'm there for it.
He was so good I'm so glad you brought up The Gentleman. He was so good in The Gentleman.
So good.
Really liked him in Man from U.N.C.L.E. that never got a sequel, which is terribly unfortunate about that. And of course, he was a staple of a lot of these British rom-coms too a while ago. I just love the dude. I think he's great. And again, you put it into a Dungeons and Dragons world, I am all about it. So I think this is fantastic. Again, movie might end up being bad, but at least for now, I think there's a lot of potential. Question is, guys, what do you think about this? Were you at all even interested in a Dungeons and Dragons movie at all anyway? If so, what do you think about the addition of a Hugh Grant? I think this cast is shaping up very nicely. What do you guys think? Jump down into the comments section below and leave us your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 2. And our second main topic today gets submitted to us by Bobby Pellet, who writes, "Hey, John and Rob. One DC movie that I'm really intrigued about is Black Adam, starring The Rock. It is now official that cameras will start rolling next month, finally, after the long pre-production wait. Would love to hear your thoughts on this. Thanks, and have a great day." All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, Bobby. And honestly, I can't remember when we've waited longer for a movie to go into production that already had its star announced and all this kind of stuff than The Rock. Rob, you and I think you were at this one, but I know I was at CinemaCon, I think it's 5 years ago. At CinemaCon in Las Vegas, and Warner Brothers was doing their presentation, and out comes, Dwayne The Rock Johnson. He comes out on stage and he starts talking about Black Adam, and he says, "You'll come to heel or taste the bottom of my boot," or whatever it is he was saying that Black Adam says. And then year after year after year after year, nothing. Nothing. Then promises, "Oh, now we're going to start shooting," and then nothing. And then now we're going to start shooting, and then nothing. Well, now it looks like we've got something. This comes to us from the president of Dwayne The Rock Johnson's entertainment company and producer on Black Adam, Hiram Garcia, who says this: "We're getting started soon. Actually, we begin filming in April." That's a month from now. "We'll be in Georgia, home away from home. We're really excited, man. We have everything is ramped up. We're so fired up for this. Obviously know how passionate we are about this project. This is very special to us. And not only Black Adam, but the Justice Society of America and all the characters we're introducing to the world and what we want to do with it. Look, we were supposed to have been filming last year. COVID, like it, delayed everyone. It kind of got in the way, but we're happy we're able to pause, regroup, and now we're going to be getting going. And by April, we'll be shooting and on track to bring this thing home." Finally, as Dwayne The Rock Johnson would say, The Rock is back into being Black Adam. This has been forever. And I'll tell you what, I'm not going to lie to you. You guys know I love Dwayne The Rock Johnson. I love Dwayne The Rock Johnson. And I have been so hyped to see him play Black Adam for so long. I've lost a little bit of my enthusiasm. Only because it's literally been like 5 years that we've been waiting for this thing to even get rolling. But listen, at the recent DC Fandom, they made some really good announcements. They announced a new cast, all the things about the JSA characters they're bringing in. That's exciting. And finally, they're going to start rolling cameras on this thing. So I think that's exciting. I think Dwayne The Rock Johnson headlining a comic book movie is something that should have happened 6-7 years ago. He was built to be in a movie like this. And then ultimately, I got a little bit more excited, I gotta say, when I saw Shazam as well, because I love Shazam. I thought that movie was charming and funny and delightful and exciting, and I just love the characters. And then knowing at some point we're going to see Black Adam, because they teased Black Adam in Shazam, knowing that at some point it kind of ramped up my excitement a little bit for this as well. So it's about damn time, Rob. I mean, that's all I can say right now. It's about damn time, but it looks like they're going to start shooting in just a matter of weeks. Rob, you've seen this news. What's your take on it?
Well, I mean, I love the idea of Dwayne The Rock Johnson as Black Adam, all the way back to DC's Kingdom Come. But I mean, would you Would you hold it against me if I said I want to take a wait and see attitude?
Nope, I couldn't blame you.
But no, I mean, look, I'm excited for this. I think Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson playing Black Adam would be great. I think it'd be great. I'd be more excited about that than another Shazam movie. And I am excited about that more than another Shazam movie. I just want to see it. I just want to see it, John.
Yeah, we've been talking about it for years. Here's something interesting to keep in mind. Just want to throw this out there. You guys remember we were talking the other day about J.J. Abrams is doing a new Superman movie. We don't know who is going to be his new Superman. It's still possible it could be Henry Cavill, but it's very possible it may not be. But we reminded everybody that even if Henry Cavill is not Superman in J.J. Abrams' Superman, he still could be Superman in other DCU movies, much like Robert Pattinson has his own pocket Batman universe, and we have other Batman running around. This could be one of those situations. Just something to keep in mind. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's manager is also Henry Cavill's manager. Just throwing that out there. And I don't think it is beyond possibility that we could theoretically, again, I'm not sharing any scoops here. This is not insider information.
Right.
Just be very clear. I'm just saying, as a fan, from a speculation point of view, I would not be surprised at all if we were to find out that Henry Cavill was going to appear as Superman in a couple of scenes or whatever in The Rock. Rob, as a matter of fact, his manager did put up on Twitter the other day regarding Henry Cavill saying, you know, when you've got big news, but you can't share it because you've signed NDAs. Maybe that has something to, I mean, again, I don't know. I'm speculating a bit here, but understanding the connection between the two, understanding that like 9 months ago, Rob, 10 months ago, we were talking about a story that came out of the major trades that Henry had signed on to appear in a couple of films of Superman. What do you think the chances are that he could pop up in Black Adam?
I think over under 50%, maybe 40%. He might.
Okay. So not likely, but a decent chance.
Yeah.
Okay. I like it. I'm going to go 60. I'm going to go 10% from the line like you, but I'm going to go 10%. I'm going to say 60%. I think I'll be mildly surprised if he doesn't show up in it. So I don't know. We will see. Question is, guys, what do you think about this? Black Adam is finally going into production. Except for like Rob said, we'll wait and see. They've been saying they're going to go into production like 5 times over the past 3 years, but it looks like it's actually happening. What do you guys think? Jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys. With that down, let's move into main topic number 3, shall we? And our third main topic today gets submitted to us by Benito Suez, who writes, hello, John and Rob. John, I know you don't like doing top 10 or top 5 lists or questions. That is true. I do not. But this is a question about questions. With there only being one episode of WandaVision left and so much ground still to cover, what would you say are the 10 biggest or most important questions we need to be answered in this final chapter? Thanks. All right. Thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And yeah, like I said earlier, we are now, 37 and a half hours away. 37 and a half hours away, ladies and gentlemen, from the final episode of WandaVision. And there is still so much ground that needs to be covered, Rob. There is so much ground that needs to be covered still for this final installment. So many questions that need to be answered. So many things we need to understand that are still coming up here. And we're going to get into that right now. And we're going to talk about this. These are what I would consider to be the 10 big questions. These are in no particular order, except for number 1. Number 1 is my number 1 question. The rest are in no particular order. All right, so let's look at this. At number 10 of the questions I think we still need to answer here are this. Are Wanda's kids real? Are her kids real? Now, of course, their birth is completely unnormal and unnatural, right? They were conceived of, how, I don't know, but they were conceived of in the hex. They gestated in one day and born. And then within 24 hours, we're the age of 10, 11, or 12, or whatever age they are now. Agatha said this thing at the end of the last episode when she's asking about her kids. Wanda says somebody, oh, your kids, your dead husband, this fantasy town. Like, it's almost like Agatha included them in a group of things that aren't actually real. So that is a big question. Now, Rob, my position on this question of are Wanda's kids real? My position continues to be, although not solidly, I still continue to believe they are not actually real. I don't believe they exist outside of the hex. I don't think they can. But I mean, there's a lot of options to say they could. So my personal take right now on the are Wanda's kids real is no. At least for now. That's my take. What's your take on that one?
I think they are real. I think that the chaos magic allowed her to create life because that's what a Nexus being can do. But I could be wrong because the comics are only used as an inspiration for the MCU, not as fact.
But Rob, both even in the comics, it's done both ways, right? Like in one way, they were real. They were generated from Mephisto, eventually absorbed back in, eventually got back out. But then in House of M, it was fantasy. She had her kids back and blah, blah, but it was all fantasy. So they've done it both ways in the comics. So it could go either way. And so that's the exciting thing. All right, let's look at the second question here. The first question is, are her kids real? The second question I think that we still have outstanding is this: who or what is Ralph? Ralph is not something or someone that's only been given once or twice. Ralph is actually a character that's been referenced many times. I've lost count how many times Ralph has been mentioned. So the question is, who or what is Ralph? Earlier in the show, people were speculating that Ralph was Mephisto, or Ralph was something, or Ralph was like Maris from Frasier, the wife of Niles that you never actually see, and then maybe never actually see. So do we get a revelation of some sort of who or what Ralph is, or do we find out Ralph was actually never anything anyway? It was just a construct for Agnes to refer to or whatever. I'm thinking, Rob, we are going to find out Ralph is something. I think we're going to find out in this episode Ralph is something. I'm not saying I think it's going to be Mephisto or Nightmare or anything like that, but I don't think this is going to be that, oh, Ralph was just something she made up. I think she's going to say it's somebody real, but I'm not sure about that. What's your take on the Ralph question right now?
I think Ralph is Doctor Strange.
Oh.
And Agatha Harkness is working with him to bring Wanda back, because this entire situation, if it had gone south, Wanda Maximoff is now the most dangerous person on Earth, and her grief could have consumed the world if it was not properly dealt with. And I think the whole idea of Wanda, that Agnes being a villain, is a double blind in a way.
Well, because in the comics, at times she's kind of like a mentor.
Yeah.
To Wanda sometimes, which actually, if you look at the last episode, she was almost kind of mentoring Wanda a little bit as it was in the last episode.
I think they're going to leave together at the end of the show.
All right. So you think Ralph is actually Doctor Strange. Interesting. All right. Let's look at this next question. This is number 8. This next question that we got to have answered, and this may not be a big one for some of you. To me, this is one that's been burning with me. That's this. Does the book that they focused on in episode 7 come into play? Does this book come into play? And I do think this is an important question because, Rob, if you remember, in that episode, as they're going around Agatha's basement, the camera specifically stops, focuses in on this book that's got this almost looking like chaos magic kind of or surrounding it that kind of led us to believe. So I guess it could just have been another one of Agatha's things. It could have been just another one of Agatha things down in that basement, or it could come into play. Like it's not, there are several theories that were thrown out there. I don't think it's a lot of those, but does this book come into play? I am now going against my previous thought of it, and I'm going to guess that the book does not come into play. I'm going to guess that the book isn't mentioned again. Even though it seems really weird that they focused on, I'm guessing it's not going to get mentioned again. Rob, what about this book from episode 7? Are we going to find out it has any relevance as we get into the final episode?
I think it does, but I don't know what that relevance is. If they're going to call it the Darkhold, I do like the idea that it was a book that was missing from Doctor Strange. Was it the Sanctum Sanctorum, or was it from? I think it
It was
could
from
be
the other
that
place,
book.
yeah.
Yeah, I think I think it will come into play because they focused on it.
All right. So there's that. All right, guys. Let's now get into the seventh question. And this is a big one. This is a big one that a lot of us have talked about, debated, theorized about, whatever. And that question is this, not number 7. Does Vision survive? Does Vision come out of this? Now, this is a question that could have multiple different versions of answers, right? Because you could say, well, I mean, Vision is gone, but maybe a new iteration of Vision comes out. It's not really Vision, but it looks like Vision and it talks like Visions. It sounds like a duck. It walks like a duck, maybe, and all that kind of stuff. I am still sticking with this, Rob. I think this scene that we see in this image right here was showing us that Vision is dead. When she says, I can't feel you, I feel like that was the showrunner saying to us, just be clear, Vision is gone. And then we saw her just create a new, kind of a manifestation of Vision that apparently cannot exist outside of the Hex. Now, there's different theories, Rob, that they're going to merge in this fake Vision with the white Vision body. Maybe that's a possibility. I think, just like in Infinity War, how Wanda lost Vision twice, she had to kill him herself once to see him brought back to watch Thanos kill him. I think like that, we're going to have to see her watch Vision die twice again. We're going to have to see the killing of the white Vision, and I think she's going to have to kind of give up the Hex, in which is going to, Vision's going to disappear. It's not really Vision anyway, in my opinion. So I'm leaning right now towards, Rob, although it could go either way, I'm leaning towards Vision does not survive. What do you think about that?
So I'm going to go, I think he is going to survive in some form. He might be the white Vision that doesn't know. In my mind, if Vision survives, he's not going to have his memory and not remember Wanda. He's going to be like a blank slate that has to learn all over again. And that's going to be part of the tragedy of the ending.
Okay, strong stuff. All right, next up, we're going to go now into question number 6. And the 6th question that we're going to have to see how they're going to address here is this, because this is one that a lot of people are wondering. Who's the big cameo Bettany was talking about? Bettany was talking about there was an actor coming that I've always wanted to look forward to. Now, when White Vision got introduced at the end of the last episode, it sparked 537 people to write into me. So the actor Paul Bettany always wanted to work with is Paul Bettany? I'm going to tell you right now, I still have no big theory on who this actor is, but I do think, Rob, we're going to get a significant actor cameo. Now, I don't know what character they're going to play, but I do think we're going to get a significant actor cameo show up there at the end. I think we're going to see that. Now, some people are wondering if Doctor Strange is going to show up. Is Spider-Man going to show up? I got a feeling it's going to be, and one of those might, but I actually have a feeling that a significant actor who we've maybe never seen in the MCU may show up. So that's what I'm going with right now. Rob, there are several possibilities. A big actor, nobody. Paul Bettany was trolling us. Paul Bettany was talking about himself. Which one of those options are you kind of leaning towards, or do you have a different one?
No, I think there's going to be another cameo beyond an Avenger showing up. I think they're going to introduce a new character that has not been in the MCU before that we're going to meet.
All right. So now we move on to our big question number 5. And our 5th big question, I think that we need to have answered. This is another very, very big one, Rob, that's been at the heart of a lot of debate and a lot of discussion. And that question is this: is Wanda a pure witch, or is she actually a mutant? What are they going to say about that in this? Now, so far, it's known that a lot of people speculated going into the show that just like every MCU thing that comes out since the Fox merger, this is going to be the one where mutants come in. This is going to be the one where the X-Men comes in. And it never is. So far in WandaVision, we haven't had the slightest hint, suggestion, or name drop of mutants. But when Agatha theorizes that Wanda may have already had power when she was a child, that opens up some doors of possibilities. I am leaning towards, although it could go either way, I am leaning towards they're just straight up in this universe, in the MCU, Wanda is a witch. She's not a mutant. I don't believe they're bringing in mutants with this, so I think they're going to lean towards being a witch. I think there's strong arguments to be made, Rob. I think there are strong arguments to be made that they're going to end this calling her a mutant. I do believe there are strong possibilities there, but I am going to lean towards they're just going to say she is a very powerful, very scary, prophesied about bringer of the chaos, the Scarlet Witch. I think they're going to go that way. Which way do you think they're going to go with her? Witch or mutant?
I think she is a mutant. That I think she has mutant powers, but her mutant powers are being a witch. If that makes any sense.
Well, then what about all the other witches?
Well, I think that you don't necessarily have to be I think her mutation is that she's a Nexus being who can wield chaos magic. But I think Pietro was a mutant as well. I think they were the first. We just haven't seen the mutants in the Marvel Cinematic Universe yet, except for them. They're the first two that we've seen.
So you're leaning towards,
yeah.
You're leaning towards their mutants. All right. Yes. And I think, like I said, this has been a hot one that I think has divided a lot of people. We've got 30 something hours to go to find out. All right. Let's move on to question number 4. Now, Rob, this may seem like a strange question. And some people might even see this question at first and think, who cares? But to me, it's actually vitally important because it could have some drastic ramifications depending on how it's answered. And that question is this. What happened to Agent Franklin, the beekeeper? So obviously, he's a sword agent who went in. Wanda caught him. Wanda and Vision discovered him. Here's why this is important. Did she just assimilate him into the town? If so, we never saw him again. I know some people put up some pictures. Oh, look, he was the ice cream man in that one scene. But then when you actually look at them, they're not the same guy. So did she just assimilate him into the town? If so, okay, no big deal. But did she kill him? Did she kill him? Because if she killed, and this is why to me this question is an important question, because it speaks a lot to really where is Wanda at. If we find out she just assimilated him into the town, cool, really nothing changes, and it's a non-issue. But we haven't seen him, and we haven't heard from him. They've never mentioned him again. If Wanda straight up like, you're breaking in, and she like wipes him out of existence, that speaks to a darkness in Wanda. And that's why, to me, I think the answering of that question is actually rather pivotal. Now, if they ignore the question in the final episode, I'm going to take that to mean that nothing. He was just assimilated into the town and nothing crazy happened. Or do we find out? So to me, it's an important question. Now, I think, Rob, they're going to go in the direction of he was just assimilated into the town like everybody else. So it might mean nothing. But if they come out and say they killed him, that says a lot about Wanda right now. I don't know, Rob, what do you think about this? What happened to Agent Franklin?
That is a good question. I tend to think that he wasn't killed. I think he's probably just been in the town this whole time. Maybe he's been frozen on the outskirts of town or put somewhere. But I'd like to believe that he's still around.
All right.
Not dead. Not dead.
I suspect that as well. All right. Let's now get into the number 3 question. The number 3 question that we have. And I had a theory. I had a strong theory about this question, but my theory got blown to bits in a recent episode. And that question is this. Who are the 2 people in the commercial? Now, you guys will remember, these are the same 2 people other than the Yo Magic commercial, which didn't have any actors in it. Every commercial has had these 2 actors in it, right? Which led me to believe for the longest time that I bet you anything, these are Wanda's parents. I thought that right from episode 1 of WandaVision, that, I bet you those are Wanda's parents that she has in these commercials. Well, we know that that's not the case. We now know, now that we've seen the flashback, we know these aren't her parents. So I got to wonder, is there some significance? Why do these 2 pop up in every single one of the commercials? Are they themselves Nexus beings? Are they a witch and a warlock themselves? Are they, or is it just, no, man, they just were random fictional people who were performing in these commercials in the show? But I want to know what is the significance and who are these two people in this commercial? Rob, where are you on right now with that question?
Well, I think they have to be of some significance, John. And I don't know if it's people, like maybe they're people that did her a kindness when she first arrived in Westview, or maybe they have a larger significance that we don't know yet. But they have to, I can't, but with all the details that they've crammed into this show, I would be hard pressed to believe that they're just randos that are in these commercials. Maybe it's somebody from Wanda's past again that we don't know that aren't here. That's why they're in the commercials. Maybe they died as well or something. But they have to be somebody or something.
Or randos or whatever. So there's that. I think this is a vital. I need to know what the answer to that is. I got to know what's going on with that. All right. Let's get into the number 2 question. This has also been a topic of great debate. And I think they are going to give us an answer for this as we get now into the final episode. As we get into the final episode. And that is this. Is Hayward a villain? And I mean, not a jerk. Is he truly a villain? And that is a question that has gone around a lot. And I feel more strongly about this one than I do. Like a lot of the ones that I have an opinion on, I'm very shaky on that opinion. But this one, I feel I will be surprised if it turns out that no, Hayward is not a villain. Hayward is not a villain. And I still contend. Now, is he a dick? Yes. Is he a bit of a jerk? Yes. But I still contend when you go through the show, there is nothing that he has ever said that was untrue, other than, of course, saying that Wanda stole the body when she didn't. But I would contend that either, number one, everything he's ever said is true, and everything kind of dickish he's done, either Tony Stark or Nick Fury has done way worse. It's like, but he's trying to bring this Vision robot back online. Oh, kind of like the way Tony Stark created Ultron? Like, kind of like that? Yeah, but he's just doing this. Oh, yeah, kind of like the way Nick Fury was secretly building the helicarrier program that nearly let Hydra take over the world, that pissed off Captain America. I still say everything we have seen Hayward do is consistent with a good guy, a guy who means well, but he's just a dick and a jerk. So I think it's going to come out. And you know what I think? I'm going to take it one step further, Rob. I think he believes they can control this white Vision with this untested chaos magic they put into him. And he's going to find out they can't. And I actually think you're going to see Monica, Hayward, Wanda, Faux Vision, whoever else. I think you're going to see them all have to work together and fight this white Vision. I mean, I don't feel as strongly about that, but I think it's going to turn out that Hayward is actually not a Vision. He's just a jerk and a bit of a dick who means well. I don't know, Rob. This is a big question going into the final episode. What's ultimately going to be the verdict here on Hayward? What do you think? Friend or foe?
I agree with you. I think
really
Hayward is, yes, I agree with you. I think Hayward is not a villain. I mean, I think what people forget is, remember, SWORD is there to deal with extraterrestrial threats. And if they were established after contact with Captain Marvel in the 90s, Monica Rambeau's mom was one of the people that started it. It's been around for a long time. Imagine the failure that SWORD must have felt after the Thanos snap. They were completely probably demoralized, and they needed to do whatever they could to mount a defense against something like this happening, because they were ill-equipped to deal with the threat of Thanos and the extraterrestrial incursions to Earth. So this was something that they've been trying since, well, presumably for 5 years, since they were able to get Vision's corpse. And I think Hayward is just a hard ass and a dick. I think he is. I think he's going to turn out to be okay, that he was just looking out for the planet.
Yeah, I mean, because I got some people in the live chat, John, how could you say he means well? Because he just saw a town of 3,000 people who are being held captive and being used as puppets and had their lives hijacked and are in pain. Also, one woman could live out her little fantasy. And he's trying to save that town.
Yep.
That's why he means well. Is he being a dick going about how he's doing it? Yes. Now, Rob, listen, I say that, but we could get into episode 9 and then have Hayward say, all right, I'll be right there. And Hayward goes in his office, closes the door, and all of a sudden he starts twirling his imaginary mustache.
Yeah.
He says, oh, Lord Ultron, I've done exactly what we've wanted to do. Now you can rise, Ultron. I don't know. Maybe we find out he does that. But I think we are going to find out he's just a dude who's trying to do his job and trying to protect people. But we'll find out. We'll find out. All right. Of course, that now leads us, guys, to what I think all those questions that we have going in, those were in no particular order, except for this one. This, to me, is the absolute main question. This is the main question to me. The one that stands above every other one that I have going into this episode. And that is this. What the hell or who the hell is Evan Peters' character? What is his character? Now, this show has thrown a lot of curveballs to kind of hint he's one thing, and then they'll throw some more curveballs to hint that he's something else. Then they'll say, oh, no, he can't be that. Only to then later say, well, no, he can't be that. And then all these other things. My theory from the beginning, Rob, from the moment he showed up at the door, was that is not the Evan Peters Quicksilver character from the X-Men universe. I think it is a misdirect. I think it is amazingly hilarious casting by Kevin Feige. But I believe Kevin Feige when he said they're going to wait 5 years before they bring in mutants. He may have changed his mind. But Rob, the thing that makes me doubt that a little bit, and you and I have talked about this, the thing that makes me doubt a little bit my theory that he's not Evan Peters or that he's not Quicksilver from the X-Men universe is the fact that Wanda, Vision, and Agnes have all straight up said, that's not Quicksilver. And that doesn't, to me, confirm my theory. That makes me go, wait a minute. That feels like you're trying to throw us off. And that has actually made me doubt it a little bit. So I'm going to say this. I am still going to fall on the side that he is not the Quicksilver from the X-Men universe. I'm still going to fall on that. But it's not the 70% sure like I was before. Now it's more like I'm 55% sure that he's not that, and maybe there's a 45% chance he is. So that's going to be my final prediction. Final prediction, he is not the Quicksilver from the Fox X-Men universe, which still raises the question about who is he then? Is he a random townie? Is he something else? I don't know, but I don't think he's the Quicksilver from Fox X-Men, but I'm not as sure about that as I was. Rob, to me, the big question is, who is this Evan Peters character? Well, number one, are they going to answer that question? And then if so, what do you think the answer to that's going to be?
Ooh, this is tough, man. Okay. Here's what I think. I think that I don't buy that she randomly conjured up some alternate vision of Quicksilver and it just happened to be Evan Peters. While that was kind of neat, if it isn't Evan Peters, there was no, if it wasn't the real Quicksilver, there was no reason to use Evan Peters. I think we're going to find out that either someone peered through the multiverse and used the X-Men Evan Peters and recreated him, meaning it's not the Evan Peters necessarily from X-Men, but they looked into that part of the multiverse and saw the Fox X-Men characters and used that character as the template for the Evan Peters that we've seen. So while it might not be him, it was inspired and it was taken from the actual X-Men universe. I believe that, or it is him. But I do believe whatever the answer is going to be that it is a representation somehow of the Evan Peters from the Fox X-Men universe. I don't know how it's going to work, but otherwise, why do it? Why not just bring in somebody that looked like Aaron Taylor Johnson?
Because we wouldn't be talking nearly enough about it if they did that. No, I think Kevin Feige wanted to do it.
I think there's a reason they did it. And I think that it's going to be revealed. It's also going to have something to do with the Marvel Cinematic Universe moving forward. We know we're getting the Multiverse of Madness. We know that in Spider-Man 3 there are multiverse characters present. We already had the animated Into the Spider-Verse. I think this is going to be another manifestation of the multiverse. And being that said, it has something to do with the real X-Men characters. I just don't think he might not necessarily be the actual character, but a recreation of that character that they took from that.
So ultimately, at the end of the day, you believe there is a connection, literal or reimagined connection to the X-Men, the X-Men, Quicksilver. And I'm thinking there's not. So that's where we're at. So guys, to recap our 10 questions that we have. Are Wanda's kids real? I'm basically saying no. Rob, you are basically saying yes, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The next one. Who or what is Ralph? I think it is going to end up being something or somebody, I believe. I mean, it could just be a misdirect or a misnomer. We'll see. Does the book come into play? I say I don't think it is, even though I used to. But Rob, you say that you think it does come into play, right?
Yes.
Okay, next up, we've got, does Vision survive? I say no. Rob, you say?
Yes.
Yes. All right, next up, who's the big cameo Bettany talked about? I still have no idea, but I do believe there's going to be a big actor. I don't know if it's going to be a big character, but I think there's going to be a big actor character. And Rob, you say?
I say there's going to be a big actor character as well.
All right, next up, is Wanda a pure witch or mutant? I am leaning towards a pure witch. And Rob, you are?
Mutant.
What happened to Agent Franklin? Maybe that is Evan Peters under the mask. It's not. We got a glimpse of him before. But what happened to Agent Franklin? I think we'll find out he just got assimilated into the town. And Rob, you also think that as well, right?
Yes. Yes.
All right. Then who are the two people in the commercials? I still think there's significance to them. I don't think they're two random townies. Rob, do you think there's significance to them?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Next up, is Hayward a villain? Surprisingly, Rob and I both believe we will find out that Hayward is actually not a villain. Then ultimately, the big question, of course, is who is Evan Peters? I don't believe, although ever so slightly, I do not believe he's going to be connected to the X-Men Quicksilver. Rob believes one way or the other, there will be a connection between him and the X-Men Quicksilver. And that's where we end on that. By the way, guys, I want to remind you, tomorrow afternoon, don't forget, tomorrow afternoon, we will be doing our weekly and final WandaVision pregame show. That will be happening tomorrow afternoon. So make sure you guys come and join us as we count down the final last few hours before we watch the series finale of WandaVision. And we hope that you guys will come and join us for that. All right, guys, question is, what do you think about all these questions? Are there some questions are there some important questions that maybe we didn't think about? What do you think about some of these main questions? Which ones are more important to you? Jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's now move over and start taking your live questions today, shall we? Once again, the way you get a live question on the show is easy. Just go down into the description of this video and you're going to see a tip link. Just click on that, or you can enter it in manually at streamelements.com/movieblogtv/tip. You'll be getting your comment or question on the show if it's reasonable. And of course, you'll be supporting the show at the same time. And all of us here, thank you guys for that support. All right, let's get on over and start taking your questions, shall we? Okay. And we're going to start off with here. The Hoser and the Knob writes, 1 of 3. Hey, John, I've been following since the last few weeks of the movie blog days. That's going back a while, man. And I am better for it. Wanted to talk about the AMC situation. So my wife used to work for Lane Bryant, who was owned by Ascena, the Ascena brand. Last summer, Ascena did the same thing that AMC did. They had thousands of employees on furlough, yet paid millions in bonuses to their heads. Weeks later, Ascena brand declared bankruptcy. AMC could be a lot closer to declaring bankruptcy than we think. Bought movie trailers, A Love Story on Amazon, and I loved it. Thank you so much, man, for watching my movie. I appreciate that. Keep up the great work and keep bringing on the filthy. All right, Hoser, thanks a lot for writing that in, man. And yeah, listen, I agree. It is completely shady. It's completely whatever, but I don't think Amazon, or AMC, I should say, is about to declare bankruptcy because of that huge stock market rally they had. and what happened with all that with the Reddit users and everything. And Yahoo Finance reported that AMC theaters, Rob, this was what Yahoo Finance said. And we brought up the quote on the show. Yahoo Finance stated that AMC theaters wiped out their 2020 debt or their 2020 losses in one day. They were able to sell a bunch more stock when the price was super high, and they were able to wipe out their 2020 losses in one day. Which, I mean, through nothing that they did, through no credit to them, but their entire 2020 losses were wiped out in a day. So I don't think we're about to see them go out of business. I think out of all the theaters, they're probably in the best shape right now to move forward. Again, that's no credit to anybody at AMC for what they did, but it is a thing. So I think they're probably in pretty good shape. But that is a great example to bring up there, Hoser. It really is. So thanks for sharing that. And thank you again for watching my movie, man. I really appreciate that. All right, next up. Zagard writes, "Hey, John. What if Disney screws us all over and episode 9 of WandaVision is just 5 minutes of shows and 45 minutes of credits? I kid you not. I put that on my Twitter last night. I totally did. I put those exact words. I put like, what if Wanda or what if Disney makes it like a 5-minute episode with 45 minutes of credits? I literally said that same thing. Anyway, just kidding. That would be funny for 5 seconds though. Have a good day." Rob, let me see if I can bring this up here. I actually put up a tweet last night where I asked people what would be the absolute worst thing. Let me see if I can bring it up here. Here it is. I asked what would be the worst thing that WandaVision episode 9 could do. I said, make a 5-minute show with 45 minutes of credits. It was all a dream, or Corman's Fantastic Four shows up. About 5,000 people voted on it. And the winner was It Was All a Dream by 61%. Rob, I mean, obviously, they're not going to have a 5-minute episode with 45 minutes of credits. But if I had to ask you, Rob, what is the one thing they could do in this show that would leave you as a fan the most frustrated? What would be the one thing that they could do that would leave you the most frustrated?
To just, I think, not give us enough of an explanation of why did this whole scenario come to fruition in the first place. Like, of all the things Wanda could have done to create this hex around a town, I mean, it's a big, big, big leap. You know, I understand where the sitcoms came from, but like, if I was upset and I had her powers, I don't think my first choice would be to go take some small American town in New Jersey and turn it into some kind of sitcom paradise for myself. Maybe I'd go to Europe and find some. Like, why there and why now and what happened and like, how did this occur? I mean, weren't there better ways to do this? And why did she decide to involve a bunch of other people in this against their will? It makes her very unsympathetic.
Right. All right. Next up, Philip Carbon writes, "Hi, John. I've been a fan since the AMC days. Thank you so much, man. I liked your movie. Again, thank you so much for checking out my movie. I appreciate that. So what do you think about the PlayStation Store discounting their movie? Discounting their movie, TV, and rentals as of, or discontinuing. I'm sorry, I read discounting. Sorry. What do you think about the PlayStation Store discontinuing their movie, TV, and rentals as of August 31st, 2021? Do you think this was a mistake? And what will happen to older purchases?" Okay, so I only vaguely heard about this. And by the way, Toodle Dundee in the live chat sends in a super chat badge. Thank you so much for that, man. I appreciate that. I only just recently heard about something like that, and I haven't really read into it, so I don't know much. I just heard about this. Honestly, okay, from a very myopic point of view, I don't care because I never rented or watched any movies or TV through my PlayStation ever. Like, I always use Google Play or something other of that, so I really don't care. I'm sure any purchases will be transferred probably to another service. They'll probably have to work out something legally to transfer access to that to some other service. But again, don't take that as a surety. I don't know, but that's my assumption at this point. We've seen that happen before, Rob, where like a digital streaming service is shut down, but people were then able to access it through some other service. But I don't know. I've never used a game console as my access point. I mean, unless you use a different service on the console, but actual PlayStation's movie, TV, I never used it myself, so I'm unfamiliar. Have you ever used something like that, Rob?
I have not. So, I mean, look, I think there's so many different ways to get movies now that maybe PlayStation just decided they're gonna concentrate more on gaming, or they weren't getting the kind of customers that they needed to justify the service. That's usually what happens.
Right. All right. Next up, we've got Patrick Conway writes, I don't think the Avengers allowed the government to have Vision's corpse like Cap, Nat, and Bruce would never trust the government with Vision's body, and Thor wouldn't think mortals like them worthy of the corpse. They buried him at their compound. Then Vision's body got unearthed after Thanos assaulted the compound, and Sword took him during the cleanup after the battle. It would explain why it looked like they only just started dismantling him when Wanda came to Sword HQ. I mean, a lot of what you say there, Patrick, makes sense. However, you are missing one very, very important thing. The Sokovian Accords, which was the whole basis of Civil War. They had aligned themselves, particularly Tony, had aligned themselves with the notion that, but I mean, Tony wasn't there, granted. But with the Sokovian Accords in place, it's the heroes don't get a say. The heroes don't get a vote. That's the thing. Under that new reality, if the government says we're taking that $3 billion chunk of vibranium, I don't think the heroes have a leg to stand on to say, yes, you can, or no, you can't. So I don't think they would. But the really good point you raised there, though, and I think this is interesting, Rob, that if they only got their hands on the body after the events of Endgame, it does explain a lot of the questions I've had about, how did this happen and why does it only look like that? I mean, it would answer something. I'm thinking they've had his body the whole time. I think they've had his body for 5 years. What do you think, Rob? How long have they been in possession of Vision's corpse?
A long time. I mean, they would have to be able to do what they were doing with it. I'm sure, like you said, I think they acquired it right after or soon after the Battle of Wakanda.
I agree. All right. Next up, we've got, if you don't answer this, writes, I like spaghetti more when it's later through the day, so pasta absorbs more flavor of the sauce. Do you like it like that, or when it's fresh? What's your favorite pasta? And Wanda said she's Sokovian fortune teller in episode 6, episode 8 later references it. I don't remember that reference, but yeah, I mean, she called her costume a Sokovian fortune teller. And what did he call himself? What did Vision say his thing was? A street light? Or I can't remember what it is they ended up saying that he was. But personally, look, I say this as an Italian. Pasta is pasta. If pasta is prepared right and it's fresh, it does not have to sit. Usually the pasta that has to sit to absorb the flavors is the hard, dried out stuff you then cook. Fresh pasta doesn't need to do that nearly as much. Like, it absorbs a lot more quickly. So I prefer fresh pasta, and if you got the right sauce, you can go right at it right away. All right, next up. John Campea's cooking show. All right, next up, Scott Brown writes, with dumbass governors like Greg Abbott in Texas lifting the mask. Yeah, you know what, guys, we're not here to make political commentary or anything like that. We're not here to talk stuff like that. So I appreciate you want to send in thoughts, but this is a politics-free zone here. I hope you guys appreciate that. And let's just move on with the next question. All right, next up, War Doctor writes, hey, John and Rob. So, Joe Biden has stated that there will be enough vaccines for every adult by the end of May. I read that. It's very encouraging. Is this a good sign that San Diego Comic-Con might go forward after their cancellation announcement the other day? Thoughts? All right. Here's the thing about that, Rob, because I remember somebody else asked that and I forgot to answer it. So, you guys will remember that San Diego Comic-Con just announced that they are canceling their July event and they're going to do it virtually instead. But then they're going to have a live in-person event in November. The question has now been asked a couple of times. If things continue to go really, really well, could San Diego Comic-Con change their mind and actually have a live event in July? I believe the answer to that question is no. And the reason is, dude, have you ever seen how hard it is for you and 5 friends to organize where you're going to have dinner? It can take 2 hours of litigation amongst you guys. It can take hours and hours with mediators being brought in. Do you know administratively, logistically, what goes into trying to make a San Diego Comic-Con? It's not something that they can just decide a couple of months out and go, you know what, let's just do it. And then kind of whip it together. So I think we could theoretically be in a place where they could have done San Diego Comic-Con in July. I think theoretically that's possible. But they are in the unenviable position of they had to make that call now. And so I think they just wouldn't be able to pull it together like that. I don't know, Rob, maybe I'm overthinking it. What do you think? Is there any chance that we could see San Diego Comic-Con change their mind and actually do a live and in-person event in July?
No, for reasons you just stated. I mean, it takes them, they plan years in advance, and they spend all year prepping for that event. I mean, it's an enormous undertaking with so many moving parts and so many people. I don't see it happening.
All right, next up, we got MD who writes, think some WandaVision viewers misunderstood the meaning of the Agatha All Along song. The lyrics refer to her trying to mess things up, not that it was her who created the hex. I've seen people say, oh, so it wasn't her. That song was pretty pointless then. No, the song was just it was meant to be a little misleading. I think it was meant to be a little misleading. And remember, I said, like, after that episode, like, the song is great, but it was Agatha all along. I said it wasn't Agatha all along. I mean, we know Wanda created the hex. And I even said in the opening, you see Agatha showing up after the hex had already been created, right? But I believe it was probably meant, MD, to be a little bit deceiving. But you're right. I mean, they showed in that opening her just influencing some things, right? Yeah, she threw in the Fietro. Yeah, she was messing things up at the talent show. But yeah, it wasn't her all along. She wasn't behind everything. So you're right about that, MD. Well pointed out. War Doctor 10 writes, John and crew, is there a guilty pleasure artist that you listen to? As a 100% heterosexual male, I can admit that I still listen to NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, and Britney Spears. Thoughts? Keep bringing the filthy. Rob, I gotta admit, I've never thought of any musical artist having to be a guilty pleasure. Although I'll come up with one. I'll say it right now. The band that I've seen be the butt of more jokes in the world, but I'm sorry, there's a number of their songs that I really like. Nickelback. I'm not sitting here saying I've got Nickelback shirts in my closet. I don't. But they take a lot of heat, and I think it just kind of became the cool thing to bash on Nickelback when actually there's a couple of their songs I actually think are really good. But so if we have to try to out ourselves here with guilty pleasure music, I will say, at least for a couple of tunes, Nickelback would be one that I would say is a guilty pleasure, at least for a couple of limited songs. Do you have one that you would call as a guilty pleasure?
Well, my whole life as I got older, people made fun of me that I love Styx, but I love Styx.
I like Styx.
I don't know if that's necessarily a guilty pleasure, but I have to say this. I like, is Macklemore a guilty pleasure now? If you like
maybe, yeah, that might be
I'm
one.
a huge Macklemore fan, I'm still popping tags.
I do like that song. I like that song. Yeah. All right, next up, we got Caleb who writes, off topic, but thoughts on JJ Watt going to Arizona. Totally shocked, but couldn't be more excited. The NFC West is going to be truly crazy this year. How much do you think this helps the Cardinals? Thanks, and bring on the filthy. I was shocked. I had 4 guesses of where JJ Watt would go, and none of them were the Cardinals. As a matter of fact, when I first saw the headline, Rob, that JJ Watt was going to the Cardinals, I thought, wait a minute, he's going to baseball? He's transferring over to baseball? Because that's how much the Cardinals were completely off my radar. It's weird because I thought Watt would want to go to a team that gives him a legitimate shot at a Super Bowl, like in the next 2 years. And I just do not think the Cardinals give him that shot. And now I could be wrong. I didn't think Tampa Bay would win the Super Bowl this year. So, I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think that, I don't think the Cardinals have a legitimate, true, like 1-3, 1-4, 1-5 shot at a Super Bowl in the next 2 years. So I was a little bit surprised. They gave him big money, though. They did give him big money. I honestly thought he might, well, I have no point in going into where I thought he was going to go. But yeah, man, I was completely shocked he ended up in Arizona. All right, Christopher Martinez writes, "What's up, John? Love your show. Thank you so much. Who plays a better witch than Catherine as Agatha? I'll wait. Me personally, I had doubts at first, but I find the show to be amazing. I was thinking, how do you top this? And was wondering how this ties into Spider-Man 3. Thoughts? We won't know how this ties into Spider-Man 3 until we have the slightest clue about what Spider-Man 3 is about. You know, that's the thing, Rob. Somebody wrote into me the other day and said, you know, I just don't get how this show ties into Spider-Man 3 or Doctor Strange 2. And I had to remind them, we haven't seen Spider-Man 3 and Doctor Strange 2. Of course we don't know how it ties in. We have no idea. I have a feeling there is going to be residual effects of what happens in episode 9. There's going to be something significant that happens in episode 9
Oh, yeah.
that will have repercussions, that will have to be alluded to at the least in Spider-Man 3 and then maybe fully addressed in Doctor Strange 2. But Rob, there's something else I think we got to keep in mind. Kevin Feige said that WandaVision, Spider-Man 3, and Doctor Strange 2 are part of kind of have a story arc, right? He never said this was a trilogy. It's not like everything about WandaVision will be totally relevant to everything in Spider-Man 3, which will then have everything relevant and tie in completely with Doctor Strange 2. Like, this isn't a trilogy. I think we're going to have light connections between one to the other and then rounding out in Doctor Strange 3. But I think we'll find out or get our guess as to what that is in episode 9. What do you think about that, Rob?
I think that, like we just went through our 10 expectations, episode 9 has a lot of setting up to do, and I think absolutely, I'll tell you one thing, I'll bet you we get an explosive mid or post credit scene that blows some things wide open.
Bruce Campbell's coming. I'm telling you, Bruce Campbell's coming.
It's going to be epic.
All right, next up, Valentin Valisev writes, John, in Tuesday's show, you mentioned how the Viz is under the government's jurisdiction because they said it was, and that may work in our world, but in the MCU, the U.S. is in no way more powerful than Wakanda, so I'm not sure your statement really applies. But when you missed the first part of that conversation, the first part of that conversation, if I'm remembering it correctly, was the belief that the Avengers probably brought Vision with them when they went home. And it's once they got home that the government probably took possession of him. So I'm not suggesting that the U.S. got into a custody fight with Wakanda over the remains of Vision. The thought was, in the context of the conversation that was being had there, was that probably Cap and whatever brought Vision back home, and then the government probably took possession there. So I agree. I don't know that the U.S. would have had a trump card to play over Wakanda and taking Vision's body away from Wakanda. I think that the Avengers probably brought him home, and then that's where they got him. That's my guess at any rate. So I see what you're saying, and I agree with what you're saying, but I just think the context was a little bit different. That's all. All right, next up. Unhappy Hogan writes, hey, John, I'm not sure if you've seen Peaky Blinders, but I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. I saw a video analysis of Tommy versus Kimber's body language, and Cillian Murphy is amazing. There's a whole story he was telling with just his body and eyes. I'll tell you what, Rob, this is one of those shows that I got pumped about because I heard a lot of people talking about Peaky Blinders. And I got 4 episodes in, and I'm just, it's just not for me. I'm not saying it's not great. It wasn't working for me. I tried, I pushed through the first episode, second episode, third episode, fourth episode. And then I'm like, it's not really for me. It's not really working for me, which is fine. There's a lot of great shows and movies that aren't for everybody. And Peaky Blinders just didn't work for me. So yeah, that's about as far. But you apparently are a big Peaky Blinders fan?
Yeah, I'm a big fan. But I really love crime thriller kind of things. I love the period nature of it. But yeah, it's kind of a slow burn. I understand.
All right. Next up, we've got Useless Nobody who writes, the stretch of Avatar's episodes where they lose Appa and Uncle Ero, sings that song, Mourning His Son. Oh, God, I love that. That's my favorite episode of Avatar. Mourning His Son might be the most depressing stretch of episodes I'd ever seen. I straight up started crying multiple times. Also, I'm glad Joey Bishop is back. Aaron is cool too, I guess. I'll tell you what. So I did get around to watching, last year I got around to watching Avatar: The Last Airbender, the animated series, which I had never watched before. And I was very happy with it. It's very good. But there's an episode where this key character in the show, Uncle Ero, or Iroh, I can't remember how they pronounce it, where he's going around singing this song and, soldier boy, come home, blah, blah, blah. And he's gathering things up for like a tea party or something, some kind of picnic party. But at the end, it ends with him going up under this tree on some hill by himself, opening up the picnic and pulling out a picture of his son, and then singing that happy song again, very mournfully, soldier boy, come home. So you get the picture that his son had gone to war and died. And there was nothing else. I like Avatar: The Last Airbender, the show. I did. I like it. I've talked about it several times. But there was nothing else in the show that came close to that moment. That moment was like... That moment wasn't something I would have expected in this Nickelodeon show. You know what I mean? It was so well set up throughout the episode. And then when they ended on that, I was just like I took this deep breath in and you could feel it. And it was powerful. It was really, really powerful. I enjoyed it very much. Anyway. Okay. Next up, Connor M writes, out there, WandaVision theory. The White Vision will become a sort of vessel for whoever Agatha is working for. She will summon him into his body. He is currently an empty shell. I doubt it will happen, but an interesting theory. True, but the thing about that theory, Rob, is that means on top of everything else that has to happen in under an hour in this final WandaVision episode, they need to introduce an even bigger baddie. So they have to do all the things they need to do and introduce a bigger baddie and resolve that. So I don't know. I was warming, I never thought that we would see a Nightmare or Mephisto, but I was warming up to the idea, especially after that Yo Magic commercial. I was warming up to the idea, but I just feel like there's no time left. I just don't think there's any time. I don't know. What do you think the chances are right now that we do see an even bigger baddie behind Agatha still show up in this final episode?
I think we're going to see that, and I think whoever that is going to take, the three of them are all going to leave together. Agatha, whoever this big baddie is, Wanda, they're going on a walkabout, and that's how it's going to end.
Okay, that's interesting. All right, next up, Libra King writes, okay, I still think we will meet Monica's engineer friend, who is probably her Skrull friend. That's possible. I also think that that White Vision is really Spectral Vision and will later lead to a gateway for Ultron. Also, Doctor Strange will appear at the end, or Nick Fury. All right, there. And by the way, Barbarella Haymaker sends in a super chat badge in the live chat. Thank you for that, Barbarella. I mean, listen, out of all of that, Rob, the theory that is most intriguing to me, I'm not saying I buy into it, but is intriguing to me, is the idea of this Vision body is actually the new vessel for an Ultron. That, what if when this Vision body starts to speak, we hear James Spader's voice coming out of the body. I mean, listen, they've referenced Ultron several times through this show, right? So I don't know. What do you think the ultimate endgame here is for this White? And do you think Ultron popping up in some form is a possibility here?
I want to say no, because Ultron was pretty well dispatched. But then in the comics, and they always look to the comics for inspiration, Ultron comes back again and again and again in different forms. And I love Ultron, so I would love to see that happen. I just don't know if it's going to happen.
All right. By the way, Iconic Reaction sends in a super chat badge in the live chat. Thank you, Iconic. All right, let's keep going here. It was just a hypothesis. Writes, ouch. the dark I'm not quite sure what that means, but I'm sure it's probably an inside joke. Obi Bram writes, 1 of 2. Hey, John, I was just watching the original MCU Phase 4 lineup, and originally guys, please do not use abbreviations. Please don't use abbreviations. And originally, Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness was supposed to come out on May 7th, almost straight after the end of WandaVision. Something tells me we'll have a cliffhanger in a few hours, and waiting a year will suck big time. Here's the thing, though I don't think I honestly, I'm asking this, guys, in the live chat, because I don't know what the answer to this is. What was the original release date for WandaVision? Like, was this always the release date for WandaVision, or did WandaVision get bumped? I honestly don't remember. Do you guys in the live chat know this? Because I don't know either, because, I mean, if this was always, some people are saying it was supposed to come out in 2020, in like August or something in 2020. Okay, so it was originally supposed to come out in August of 2020. Okay, so no. That would have been interesting if WandaVision was always supposed to come out right now, and then Doctor Strange was supposed to come out May 7th. That was going to be a really close connection. But WandaVision was also bumped, so I guess that answers that question. Thank you, everybody in the live chat. August, Matthew, Michael, all of you guys in the live chat for writing that in. I appreciate that very, very much. See, it's always great when we've got the community here to help us out with these answers, Rob. It's always good. Anyway. We move on with the rest of that question. Obi Bram also writes, Doctor Strange, now March 2022, and Spider-Man No Way Home, now December 2021, have switched places with the new lineup. So I'm guessing that the third part of the story, starting with WandaVision, isn't a linear one. What are your thoughts? P.S. Hopefully there will be no more pushbacks. I think we're now done. The only pushback I still see happening, Rob, that I could still see happening is Black Widow, because it's coming so soon. But they just announced like an late April release in certain countries. It's maybe looking like Disney's just going to push ahead with the Black Widow release regardless. But I still think there's a good chance they bump that maybe by a month or something like that. I'm not sure. I would have to go back, Obi Bram, and look at what the original actual layout of all that kind of stuff was, because I'll be straight up honest with you. I have lost track. Over the last year, this constant game of dominoes falling and moving and shifting and shifting again and shifting again. It's like 3-card Monty. You know, where is it? And you're switching around. I have completely lost track of what the original lineup was, or original release schedule was. I have completely lost track, so I just don't know the answer to that question at all. Rob, right now, as far as WandaVision goes, where are you thinking right now about, does WandaVision come out in its May release date, or does it get bumped one more time?
You mean Black Widow?
Black Widow. Sorry about that.
I think because, dude, their schedule is packed to the end of the year. Even after these shows are over, next week, not this week, but next week, there's the making of WandaVision show. And then the week after that is Falcon and Winter Soldier. And then when that's over, they do the making of Falcon and Winter Soldier. Then Black Widow opens for a month. We got a respite. But then Loki opens. Then the making of Loki show. Then Shang-Chi opens. Then they start the What If show. So all the way to the end of the year. I mean, it's insane.
Yeah.
So I think that I would imagine that they have to have Black Widow come out when it's going to come out. I guess they've got some leeway there, but I would imagine it has to come out. There's probably some connection, whether it's in Falcon Winter Soldier or Loki, where there's some kind of connection there.
All right, next up, Patrick Conway writes, rewatch Civil War, still one of the best comic book movies of all time. I agree. I think it's a top 5. I find it funny how much Wanda and Vision outclass everyone else in the airport battle. Like, Vision is literally just floating there, and 90% of the fight, he's the biased referee. Dude, I actually went back again and watched that airport battle. I still think it's not the absolute best fight choreography of any action scene, but right. I think when you understand the drama involved with it and what's actually happening, I still contend that airport scene in Civil War is the greatest action scene in comic book movie history. Again, there's other scenes with better fight choreography and all that kind of stuff, but you're watching Avenger fighting Avenger, and it's so well drawn out, and it's just, I just remember buzzing in my chair, like watching that whole thing. I don't know, where does it rank for you? Where does that scene rank for you?
Well, I mean, in terms of, in comic books throughout my entire life, there was always some excuse trumped up for characters to fight one another. Good guys and it was playing off that trope in such grand fashion. I mean, you just sit there and it's how I loved it. I mean, it might be the very greatest fight scene ever because of all the characters that are involved and the way that it harks back to the comic books we grew up with. I mean, there's nothing about it I don't love.
I agree. All right, next up. Sloth is Legend writes, "Hey, John and crew. Do you think they will ever do Grey Hulk in the MCU? I find him more interesting than Professor Hulk. What do they call him? Mr. Fix-It? Is that what they call Grey Hulk?
In Vegas.
In Vegas, they call him Mr. Fix-It. Grey Hulk in the MCU, I find it more interesting than Professor Hulk. He has some fun scraps with Wolverine, is a separate personality from Banner, so we don't lose the duality, and is a little less overpowered. Well, I mean, Sloth, really, we don't have to worry about them. The Russo brothers took care of the overpowered thing, to the point that they basically neutered Hulk, unfortunately. I don't think, Rob, we're ever going to see that Grey Hulk. I really don't. Now, the Grey Hulk was also, like, he's basically like what do you call it? He's a good fella in Vegas, basically. He's Mr. Fix-It. He's pretty funny. You're right. He's had some good scraps with Wolverine. I don't think they ever will. I mean, anything is possible. Everything's on the table. I really want to see them get back to the Hulk is the nuclear option. Like the way they treated Hulk in the first Avengers movie. It's like, that was actually the end game of Loki. Remember, Rob? It's like, yeah, my whole plan about tearing you guys all completely apart and putting everything chaos is you brought the monster on board. The Hulk was the nuclear option. He was the one thing. And then, as much as I love Infinity War and Endgame, the one problem I've always had with them is that they discarded Hulk. And they made Hulk just another pawn on the chessboard instead of like that true nuclear. It's like, we have a Hulk, that sort of thing. But yeah, I don't see them going to Grey Hulk. I don't know. What do you think, Rob? Do you think they could ever break out Mr. Fix-It?
I mean, look, at this point, anything's possible, but I doubt it. Because I think that's such a strange, it was great when Peter David was writing that stuff, and it was kind of a strange leap to make within the MCU. So I don't think we'll necessarily see that. But with the multiverse in play, I don't know. Maybe.
Because, Rob, what I would give to see, like, okay, look, I don't know how many of you guys have read World War Hulk, but World War Hulk is like one of the most exciting comic storylines I've ever read. It comes off of the heels of Planet Hulk, where he goes to Sakaar, becomes a gladiator, king of the world, nuke goes off, loses his child, loses his wife. He comes back to Earth saying, I'm going to spank everybody, particularly the Illuminati. And Rob, I don't know if you remember, but at the end of it, like, it's just, he goes through everyone. Juggernaut tries to fight him. Wolverine tries to fight him. Colossus tries to fight him. She-Hulk tries to fight him. Everybody comes and everybody falls. The entire MCU, he takes out the Illuminati. He takes out like everybody involved. He takes over the city. He's turned the whole of New York into a big gladiatorial arena. He's wiping everybody out. And then it comes down to the only character that can possibly go and challenge him is Marvel's version of Superman, basically. It's Sentry. And then Sentry comes in, who's like the most, I mean, in the MCU, Rob, I mean, I don't know what he can't do. I don't know what he can't do. And that's even without the Void. But he comes in and he's basically the big nuclear option. And it basically ends with Hulk and Sentry having to go at it. And it's like one of the most thrilling action sequences in comics. Rob, I want to see that Hulk. I want to see that Hulk.
Why wouldn't you? Everybody wants to see that Hulk. Come on.
Oh, it'd be so good. It would be so good. Anyway, Rob, I just realized we kept you overtime again. Sorry about that. Rob, I know you got things you got to do. Thanks for being here today, my friend. Again, congrats. Guys, if you haven't seen, the new trailer for Dota is out there. The trailer for Tango Shalom is out there. It's getting awards consideration and festivals around the world. Rob, really, really good stuff. In the meantime, where can people follow you and all your stuff going on, Rob?
Well, you can find me at Burnett RM on Twitter. Find me on Instagram at Robert Meyer Burnett, or find me on my own YouTube channel, The Burnett Work. And John, while we were on the air, the Toronto Film Channel just awarded Tango Shalom Best Independent Film.
That's awesome, man.
So
you were talking about that beforehand, about the possibility, but you guys won it.
We won Best Independent Film. Yeah, so
that
that's
cool. Is amazing, dude. Guys, go and check out. I mean, obviously you can't see the movie yet, but go and check out.
You can't.
Oh, that's right, because that's right. Yeah, where can people go find it and watch it right now, Rob? Where can people go and find it?
The Toronto Film Channel is where you can go right now. It's worldwide. The TorontoFilmChannel.com. It's one word, Toronto Film Channel. Tango Shalom. If people want to know what it is, it's an indie Jewish spiritual quest family dance comedy fable. And you can watch it until 9 p.m. Pacific time right now.
Again, Rob, congrats on that. That is awesome. And we will talk to you a little bit later in the week. Have a good one, man.
All right. I'll see you later.
Talk to you soon. All right, guys, that is the great Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Of course, tearing things up as he always does, which is always really cool to see. But hey, guys, listen, we still got a bunch of time here. Let's keep going through all your questions, shall we? We're going to start off or keep going here with Alan. And Alan writes, hey, John, it seems like no matter what happens, it doesn't end well for Wanda. Even if the kids or Vision make it out alive after Hex is taken down, which is unlikely, she will still have to answer for mind controlling an entire town. Maybe Norm's father died. I mean, yeah, listen, that's the thing, right? We as an audience must not lose focus of this. That while we absolutely feel empathy for Wanda and like her entire lifetime of trauma that has led up to this moment, we can't lose sight that for weeks she's hijacked the lives of thousands of people, and apparently a lot of them in pain. We cannot lose fact of that. We cannot lose sight of that. That she has done some terrible things, all to alleviate her own grief, right? So we are going to have to keep an eye on that and see where it goes. So you're right. One way or the other, even if she gets her happy ending, she's going to have to be held accountable for what she did. You can't just let it go, right? You can't just let it go. So it's going to be interesting to see where they go with that, Alan. Next up, Tony Brainfingers writes, have you seen any of the Mortal Kombat trailer reaction videos? Ludi Lin, who plays Liu Kang's mom, has a particularly great one as she gasps in horror. As someone who did a doc on trailers, what do you think made the MK trailer so effective? Well, I mean, first of all, I love Ludi Lin. I had a chance to Ludi Lin came into my studio once, and I got a chance to he's a good Canadian kid, by the way, Ludi Lin. And he came in with his mom. I also got to meet his mom. Really good kid. Like, I really like this kid. He's a really nice guy. Anyway, let's call it a spade. It's not like it's one of the most popular trailers of all time. But I think what made the Mortal Kombat trailer work for those who are looking forward to Mortal Kombat is the fact that it was giving. Now, I don't know. This doesn't necessarily make for a good movie. The movie might be trash. But for a trailer, it gave people in the trailer what audiences were wanting to see. Right? Like, who doesn't want to see Sub-Zero cut a man, take the blood splatter, freeze it into a spike, and stab that man with his own blood? Who doesn't want to see that? Who doesn't want to see Goro coming down with a... Like, they just made sure that they put in the trailer all the things that people who were looking forward to the trailer wanted to see. Now, that's not good for filmmaking, but for a trailer, it's very, very effective. And because I tell you what, that trailer got my blood flowing. That got my blood flowing, man. All right, next up. An anonymous viewer writes, Agatha's quote, "This is chaos magic Wanda, and that makes you the Scarlet Witch." Yeah, there was a question the other day about whether she said, "and that makes you a Scarlet Witch." Somebody wrote in and said she actually says a Scarlet Witch. And I'm like, I don't remember that. I remember her saying the Scarlet Witch, and then we had a bunch of people also write in, including yourself, Mr. Anonymous, that you do that. So I think you're right about that. All right, next up. Omar from the Bronx writes, "Hey, John and Rob, just miss Rob. I'm not hung up on reveals, and I love WandaVision for the journey. That said, I'll put my 2 cents in. Paul Bettany's actor is Chiwetel Ejiofor. Agnes and Wanda become besties. Episode 9 is 90 minutes. It's not going to be 90 minutes. We found that out. Plus, what do you guys think? Peace and love." Well, listen, Chiwetel Ejiofor, who I think is a top 5 greatest actor in the world right now. Chiwetel Ejiofor, of course, plays Baron Mordo in Doctor Strange. So since this movie, or since WandaVision has a connection to Doctor Strange 2, and we know Chiwetel Ejiofor is going to be in Doctor Strange 2, and we know that Chiwetel Ejiofor wants to kill all sorcerers, and now we know that Wanda is a witch, hey, listen, the great Chiwetel Ejiofor popping up is absolutely a possibility. It is absolutely a possibility. And maybe we see Wanda go bad and say, yeah, I need to learn from you, Agatha. And because in the comics, if they want to borrow something thematically from the comics, there was a mentor relationship that Agatha had with Wanda. So it's totally possible, Omar. Next up, Murray Reich writes, "And here I was hoping to see Raya and the Last Dragon in theaters this weekend, especially since New York City is finally opening. Then I just got COVID. Aw, dude, I'm so sorry to hear that. Thank God I only have very mild symptoms, but I'm now smartly quarantining at home. At least I got both the John Campea Show and Rob Show." Well, dude, listen, I am so sorry to hear that. But listen, it's really encouraging to hear that someone like you caught it and you're being smart. Like, it seems like your thing is, okay, I got it. Now, what's my responsibility? My responsibility is to make sure nobody gets it from me. Lockdown. And it's good to hear that, and it makes me have a little bit more faith in humanity. So good on you, Murray, and recover quickly, my friend. Recover quickly. All right, next up, Ben Rayner writes, "Hi, John. Like you, I don't like how the CW has handled Superman. So when I heard about this Superman and Lois, I wasn't looking forward to it. Then I saw the trailer and it got me pumped. But it was a trailer. Now 2 episodes in, and I love it. What did you think of the second episode? Bring on the filthy." I haven't watched the second episode yet. I thought episode 1 was better than I anticipated. The first episode was much better than I thought it was going to be. But what I said about it before was this. It seems to me like this Superman and Lois show has split personality, because on the one hand, they treat it like an HBO show, and I mean that in the best way possible. Like, they treat it like an HBO show, and then like the second half of episode 1 felt more like a CW show, which is meh. So, but overall, I was quite intrigued by it. But no, I haven't watched episode 2 yet. Once I do, I'll let you know what I thought about it, Ben, once I do. But I will say, at least for episode 1, much better than I thought it would be. All right, Narf writes, "This is Chaos Magic Wanda, and that makes you GusStationReviews.fart." I'm surprised, honestly, Narf, that at this point, somebody hasn't actually gone out and bought the domain name Gus's Gas Station Movie Reviews.fart. Somebody's going to have to do that at some point. All right. Strange Marvel Theories sends in like a $20 super chat badge in the live chat. Thank you so much, Strange Marvel Theories. Really appreciate that, man. Very much. Thank you, dude. All right. Murray Reich writes, the only person right now that I can stop Agatha is Dominic Toretto, because he's all about family. Roll credits. You're welcome, Hollywood. Again, I love the Fast and Furious franchise. The one thing that bothers me about it is that in the first Fast and Furious, Dominic is just like, he's a tough guy, but he's a grease monkey. He's a car tiller. And now all of a sudden in the world of Fast and Furious, he's like the world's most lethal assassin and greatest super spy. And you could literally have Dominic Toretto with a wiffle bat against 20 Russian army tanks, and Dominic Toretto will win the fight. They just make him absolutely invincible. It's kind of crazy. Anyway, next up, Ryan Lohner writes, "Still going through the Muppet Show. I haven't got started yet. I want to. I'm so excited those are on Disney Plus now. And it hit me that the show has appearances from almost all of Mel Brooks's regular cast: Harvey Korman, Madeline Kahn, Dom DeLuise, Cloris Leachman, and Marty Feldman, and an honorable mention to Zorro Mostel. Listen, you go back, there's going to be, I still, obviously, as a kid, I remember the Star Wars episode. I remember when they had Mark Hamill on it, because as a little kid, like, Star Wars is the only thing I knew, and then seeing, Luke Skywalker on the Muppet Show was like the greatest thing in the world to me. But listen, Ryan, I got to get rolling on that, because I remember when they announced that they were bringing the whole Muppet Show over. I have got to watch it again. It's been a long time, and I got to get in there and start watching again. Thanks for the reminder of that. All right, Paths Unwritten. I like that username, writes, Wanda saying witches/magic users are born would completely contradict all the rules laid out in Doctor Strange. Magic is a skill you learn, not a power you possess, which also made no sense that Mordo to steal Ben Bratt's magic at the end. Here's the thing, Paths Unwritten, and Chris Hamilton sends in a super chat badge in the live chat. Thank you, Chris. Here's the thing about that. I don't know that anything in Doctor Strange ever put anything in any concrete terms. Nor did it ever say, this is the only way this works. I never really got that. I think there was some implied stuff there that some people can be born with it. But so, yeah, I don't know that. Now, granted, it's been a heartbeat since I went back and watched Doctor Strange again, but I don't remember it being really concrete. I think I always thought the way that Ancient One explained it was a little bit more abstract than that. Now, maybe if I watch it again, I'll think differently, and I might agree with you more on that. But we'll see. Anyway, good thing to point out there, pals. Good thing to point out. All right. Balma B. Garden Seed writes, hey, John, just to let you know, in Australia, as a part of Disney Plus, Star is simply our Hulu. Star allows us to watch content from FX, ABC, 20th Century, etc. Also, I love Sucker Punch and really connected to it on an emotional level. Why didn't you like it? Yeah, Sucker Punch sucks. It was just, for me. Now, this is the beautiful thing about movies, man. They're subjective, so they hit us all in different ways. So I love that it hit you in the right way. But Sucker Punch, let me bring up something here. Sucker Punch was a movie that I had a lot of interest in, because obviously I was up at that point, I was a really big Zack Snyder fan. Really loved where they're going. Not to mention the movie, one of the stars of the movie was Anne's friend, my wife's friend, her sorority sister, Jamie Chung. And so was very, very excited about that. Wanted to go see it. Of course, it also had Vanessa Hudgens, Jenna Malone, Emily Browning. Great, all that kind of stuff. But it was so nonsensical. The whole thing was nonsensical. And then at the end of it, it pulled the whole, not literally, but the whole, it was all just a dream thing. But that movie is actually a really interesting case study about how Zack Snyder is such a good visual storyteller. Because I've always said, I think Sucker Punch is a terrible movie. It's the only Zack Snyder movie I don't like. If you put on Sucker Punch and you put it on mute, it's actually really fun to watch. I know that's not a great compliment for a movie, but if you put that movie on and you just put it on mute, and you kind of make up in your own head whatever the story is, it is a visually gorgeous movie. I mean, there's no taking away from that. It is an absolutely visually gorgeous movie. And that's just how I'm going to have to watch it moving forward whenever I watch it again. All right, next up. But I'm glad you liked it, man. I'm glad you liked it a lot. All right, next up. Jalen Pryor writes, hey, John, hope you had a great birthday. I did, as a matter of fact. I know I did. 2 questions. One is that, as you know, my girlfriend is Filipina, like your wife, and I was wondering what her thoughts on Raya is. Second, did you end up finding out if Agatha said Wanda was the Scarlet Witch or a Scarlet Witch? Yeah, she said the Scarlet Witch. She did say that. My wife, Anne, loved Raya and the Last Dragon. She loved it. I think she liked it more than I did. Like, I liked it quite a bit. I think it's very good. But Anne, I think she really adored it. So, yeah. So there you go. I hope that answers your question, Jalen. Thanks for asking, man. All right, next up, Jalen also writes, also, I was thinking about actors who are starting to make comebacks in movies now, and I was thinking about how Hayden Christensen and Keanu Reeves are very similar in the fact that they aren't the greatest actors, but given the right material, they're not bad. Yeah, see, Hayden Christensen is really, really interesting because I think, what was it? My Life as a House? I think that was, let me just bring it up. My Life as a House. I think, yeah, the one he did with Kevin Kline in 2001. If you go back and watch that movie, Hayden Christensen is fantastic. And you would have thought that this kid is going to be big. And even though I think the Golden Globes are useless, like they're totally trash, but Hayden Christensen did get a Golden Globe nomination for Best Supporting Actor for Life as a House. It's a really good movie, and Hayden Christensen is wonderful in it. Unfortunately, he was never able, again, in my opinion, to live up to his potential. I remember the first movie that was really a big one with him as the lead after he got his Star Wars stuff was called Awake. And he was in that one with Jessica Alba and Terrence Howard. And that movie wasn't just bad, he was terrible in it. And I've just never felt like I've seen Hayden Christensen give a performance that has ever been on the same level that he gave back in 2001 in Life as a House. And he's a good Canadian kid. So I know Keanu Reeves, on the other hand, yeah, not the strongest actor, but when you plop him in the right roles, every once in a while, he comes out very strong, right? Sometimes not so much. Oftentimes he's perfect. So I would actually probably say overall Keanu Reeves is even the overall better performer. But it would be interesting to see with Hayden Christensen coming back in Obi-Wan. It will be interesting to see if he's going to be able to have a resurgence like Keanu Reeves had twice. Keanu Reeves had 2 resurgences, right? He was kind of gone, then he was in Matrix. Matrix was a big surprise hit, then he was back, then he kind of faded away again, and then this little John Wick movie came along that nobody cared about, and then all of a sudden, Keanu Reeves is the hottest thing in the world, and maybe the Obi-Wan series can do that for Hayden Christensen. We will find out. All right. Jalen Pryor writes, okay, John, tinfoil hat time. I know that everyone loves Hugh Jackman as Logan, but I'd be lying if I said I wouldn't want to see Henry Cavill to play the Claude badass one day. I mean, the man is built by the gods and is a great actor if it happens. Spunk. Well, I mean, look, you know me. All I ever care about is do you put good actors in good roles. I think Henry Cavill is an exceptional actor, so of course I'd be down for that. Yeah, but just get a good actor. That's what they did. Nobody liked the casting of Hugh Jackman when they announced him as Wolverine. They're like, who is this? He's a nobody. He's too tall. He's a Broadway actor. He's a song and dance man. Nobody liked the casting of Hugh Jackman when they announced Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. Everybody complained. And now, today, we can't even imagine somebody other than Hugh Jackman playing it, right? So, well, I hope all of us will keep an open mind when it is time, whenever they do recast. And Jalen also writes, okay, one last one for today. My God, sir, but regarding Wolverine, I don't care what anyone says. Liev Schreiber as Sabretooth is underrated. Also, recently watched The Big Short, and I don't like The Office, but oh my God, Michael Scott can act. Also sighed, but not Give Me Hancock too. No, listen, Steve Carell is a multi-time Academy Award nominated actor. I want to say that he has 2 Academy Award nominations. I know he got one for Fox. No, he only had one. It was for Foxcatcher. I thought he got a nomination for The Big Short. I thought he got a nomination for that. Okay, so Steve Carell has 1 Academy Award nomination. That's for Foxcatcher. He probably should have got one for The Big Short. He got, again, Golden Globes are meaningless. He's got multiple Golden Globe nominations. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 Golden Globe nominations, including for The Big Short, Battle of the Sexes. He was great in Battle of the Sexes. And then most of his other ones were for The Office. But yeah, believe it. Steve Carell is a fabulous actor. He really is. All right, next up, Xavier Busk writes, You say Superman's skin pigmentation is irrelevant. I agree. But what about gender? Is he being male relevant? Could we have a story of Clara Kent, daughter of Jor-El, adopted by the Kents, searching for her place and goddess among men? Yeah, you could. Like, honestly, I mean, the one thing, of course, is somebody could point to is his literal name is Superman. I mean, that is the one valid argument you could totally make about that is, dude, the guy's name is Superman. The other argument, again, is that you already have a female Kryptonian Superman-like character in Supergirl. Like, you already have one, right? So there is actually, you could make, under a lot of circumstances, I agree. I don't think the gender unless the gender or ethnicity is vital to who the character is, then who cares if you change it up? I don't care. I don't think you should change it, but I don't really see a big reason why you shouldn't many times. But sometimes there are arguments made against that. And the very first one, if you try to change Superman's gender, the two big valid arguments you get thrown back at you are, number one, there's already a Superman equivalent character that is female in Supergirl. But also, dude, his very name is Superman. So that would probably be thrown at you too. So no, I don't think it's as open-ended. The gender role with Superman, I don't think it's as open-ended as a question as I believe the skin pigmentation color is with Superman, because that one is completely irrelevant. That has no relevance to anything. The tone and the pigmentation of Superman, an alien organism's skin, is completely irrelevant to anything about Superman. So they're a little bit different things there. Interesting question, though, Xavier. That's a good question. I'm glad you brought it up. All right. BK Dan writes, hey, John, just my prediction for how WandaVision will end. Wanda fuses body to visions into the new living vision. That's been thrown out there a lot. With a new stone created by her to fuel him. Don't forget that Thanos used the stones to destroy the stones. Yeah, see, I don't think she can actually recreate. Here's where it gets interesting. I don't think she can actually recreate an Infinity Stone. That said, there is clearly power of the Infinity Stone in her, much like there is power of the Infinity Stone in Captain Marvel. So having that power of the Infinity Stone in her, could she utilize it to remanifest the stone? I'm guessing they're going to not say that she can do that, but it is a possibility. Let's see what they bring us in episode 9. All right, BK also writes, hey, John, just wanted to support the show and say thank you for not allowing your channel to devolve into political views. Well, hey, listen, no, I appreciate that. Listen, I, like anybody else, have political views. Everybody has political views. I happen to have some very strong ones. But when we're here, we're all movie fans. I don't care what our political persuasions are, sexual orientation, socioeconomical background, ethnicity, doesn't matter. When we're here, we are all, movie fans. We're all TV fans. We're all storytelling fans together. And it doesn't matter what, and so here, like on some of my other social media channels, I will talk politics, just like anybody else. But here, this is not the place for politics. This is the place for us to celebrate the stuff that we love. And so, and talk about it in those terms. So that's just the kind of environment I want it to be. And listen, I'm not poo-pooing on trashing on, I know there are some other channels that basically use their channels as platforms for their political points of view. And honestly, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, if that's what you choose to do with your channel, that's fine. If this organization wants to do that with their channel, that's fine. If another channel wants to not do that like I do, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not trying to suggest that doing it this way is the only way to do it. Not at all. But I'm just saying, for me, I just would rather this be a place where all of us can get together and talk about movies, regardless of whatever background or persuasions we are. But anyway, that's just me. All right. Thanks for that, BK. Next up, where are we? Okay, BK again writes, hey, John, I just rewatched Age of Ultron and Cap says, we have arguments on the field. Notice he never says, Oh, we have augments on the field. He never says mutants. I agree with you that mutants will not be brought in till at least the end credits of Doctor Strange 2. But here's the thing though, BK. Remember this. When the Age of Ultron was made, Kevin Feige had no idea that Disney was going to be taking over Fox. So they had no right. They weren't even legally allowed to use the word mutants at that time. So while I don't believe Kevin Feige is bringing in mutants yet, and he might, because he might have changed his mind, anything that happens in Age of Ultron doesn't really support that, because at that time when they were making that movie, they weren't even allowed to say mutants. I wouldn't read too much into that. Okay, next up. BK writes, hey, John, I know you post in description about your tech tools for your show. I work from home, and I have worked from home for the last 13 months. You and my wife works from home too now, buddy. What is your chair brand and model? I need a new chair, and yours looks comfy. Dude, I love this chair. I absolutely love this chair. It is the best chair I have ever had. And I cannot tell you what the brand is. I don't know what it is, because I sent out fact checker Jonathan and graphics guy Ray. I sent out Ray and Jonathan one day and just told them, guys, my chair sucks. I literally, I kid you not, I was using the same chair that I was using 7 years ago in the AMC closet days. And all the cushion had gone. It was basically sitting on a hard plank of wood. My ass and my back were killing me every day, but I'm pretty cheap. But I finally broke down and said to Jonathan Ray, guys, I need you to go and find me a chair. Find me a chair. Bring it back here. Whatever you guys think looks great, you go find it, bring it back here and put it together for me, would you? And that's what they did as I was working. And they came back with this. And I wish I could tell you the name of it, but it is a wonderful chair. It's a wonderful chair. I really enjoy it. I'll tell you what, I will follow up with Jonathan and Ray, and I'll ask them if they remember. And if I remember to get around to it, I'll try to drop a mention as to what chair it is. But yeah, man, listen, a good chair is everything. A chair that works for you and is comfortable for you is everything, especially if you're like me and you got to sit in it for hours and hours and hours and hours every day. All right, next up. BK Dan writes, by the way, I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. BK Xavier Pryor. Yep. No. We're still on course here. All right. That was BK. Okay. Okay. Hello, John and Co. Just saw trolls on other channels saying that Cavill is going to appear in Marvel movies. Do you think this is true? And if so, will this lead into big honking crossover movie? Keep bringing the filthy. No. Henry Cavill appearing in could Henry Cavill appear in a Marvel movie? He has as much of a chance of appearing in a Marvel movie as any actor in Hollywood does. Of course he can. I mean, we just had Lawrence Fishburne. He was in Man of Steel and he was in Ant-Man 2, right? So that can happen. Do I believe that's what's been set up right now? Probably not, but it's completely possible. It's not outside of the realm of possibility. And him showing up, though, does not mean there's ever going to be any kind of crossover. That doesn't mean there's going to be a crossover. Just like Lawrence Fishburne being in Man of Steel, and that means there's going to be any kind of crossover. But hey, lad, listen, don't be surprised. I wouldn't believe those rumors right now. But again, Henry Cavill's an actor. And so he can go into any movie he wants to that wants him. So yeah, that could happen. It could. All right, next up. Timo writes, on one of your companion videos, I heard a comment about Erin Darling being Mexican-American. When I heard it, it confused me as hell. I was like, what the hell is this person talking about? I then searched her up, and her bio, it says Mexican-American. I had no idea. Never knew that. I thought they were just thinking of Natasha Martinez, but yeah, I never knew that. All right, next up. Russell Amador writes, hey, John, as we know, March in terms of content is shaping out to hopefully be an epic one. But I have one question for you. If you had to choose just one, would you watch Wanda's finale, Winter Soldier premiere, Justice League, or Kong versus Godzilla? Ooh. All right. So the Disney Plus show that I have been most looking forward to is Falcon and Winter Soldier. That said, I can miss the first episode and jump in on episode 2. I can't miss the finale of WandaVision. Can't miss the finale of WandaVision. Even though I am looking more forward to Falcon and Winter Soldier than WandaVision, I am now in WandaVision. And you can't miss the last episode. You can miss the first episode of a show and probably get caught up on all the important information as you go through the series. But you cannot miss the finale. So to me, it's actually an easy question. It's actually easy. Now that I think about it, it's easy. WandaVision finale. That's the one. I'll go WandaVision finale. All right. BK Dan writes, "Hey John, WandaVision theory. White Vision is too unstable and Wanda and Monica will have to team up with Sword against it. Wanda will come to conclusion that in order to get rid of White Vision, the Hex must come down, hence erasing her kid's existence." That's not far from what I've been saying. Not only her own kid's existence, but her Vision's existence too. So, yeah, I've kind of been saying that exact same thing myself, man. That I think we're going to see Wanda, Monica, Sword, everybody's going to have to team up against this White Vision. They're going to lose control of it, and maybe it's Ultron. Maybe it's a version of Ultron. I don't know. And they're going to have to team up. The Hex comes down. She loses her kids. She loses Vision. I think this ends badly, man. I think this ends badly, and that could be the way they do it. All right, guys, listen. We're going to go overtime today. We've been going overtime lately, but we still got some questions to get to that I want to get to. But what we're going to do here quick is I need to refill my drink. So if you guys will indulge me, we're going to take a quick break, maybe 2, 3, 4 minutes. We're going to take a quick break, give you a chance to use the bathroom, grab yourself a snack or something, talk amongst yourselves. So hang tight, everybody. Don't go anywhere, and we will be right back. All right, guys, and we are back. Thank you for your patience and indulgence as I took a little bit of a minute there, went and pet my dogs, refilled my drink. Let's keep right on going now with your questions, shall we? And where do we leave off? We left off there with BK Dan. We now move up to J Meister 25, who writes, we once said Infinity War and Endgame had too much story to wrap up, and that turned out pretty darn good. I trust the showrunners of WandaVision to finish this story properly, and going forward into Phase 4 will still keep us excited and satisfied. Oh, no, I agree. I have all the faith in the world in them. They've done a great job with this show. There does seem to be a lot that they need to cover, but they clearly have shown that they know what they're doing. Their pacing has been really good, all that kind of stuff. And Wagner is saying they're a big fan from Brazil. Thank you, Wagner. Appreciate that. I have every confidence they'll wrap it up well. Now, they may not do what a lot of people want. I wanted them to say she's a mutant. I wanted to see Doctor Strange show up. I wanted this, and this. I mean, and maybe they don't do that, but I trust that whether they do the things I want them to do or don't, that it's going to be great. And I do trust it's going to be great. So let's see where they go with that. All right. An Anonymous by Nature writes, what's up, John and Co? You know, an anagram of Agatha Harkness is Agnes T. Shark. Really? Just saying. I'm having fun with all the theories. Glad you are too. Keep up the great work and happy belated. But listen, man, I kind of now think that Agatha is the shark. In the Yo Magic commercial, I kind of think Agatha's the shark. I thought the opening scene in Salem, as she was drawing the magic out of the other witches, I think that was kind of pointing that she was the shark. But maybe we'll find out she wasn't. Maybe we'll find out it was somebody else. Thanks for sharing that, man. I appreciate that. Next up, The Wanderer writes, hey, John, I know you hate talking about actors casting as much as we like JJ Krasinski. If I was Marvel, I'd get Henry Cavill to play Reed Richards. After seeing him playing Sherlock Holmes, he built his own PC, already a fan base. Warner Brothers lost / Disney gains. Well, listen, okay, who cares? I mean, you know me. I think, here's Henry right there. Right there. There's Henry standing over me. You can see just his, the S symbol there. I love Henry Cavill as an actor, but it doesn't need to be Henry Cavill. There could be 500 actors who could be even better for it. And by the way, again, this is the reason why I don't like discussions about potential fan castings, is because you say he'd be great as Reed Richards. But what Reed Richards? We don't know how Reed Richards is going to be written. And, again, you go back to like Joker. There have been 4 big screen Jokers. All of them good, some of them magnificent. But there have been 4 completely different Jokers. Jack's Joker, Heath's Joker, Joaquin's Joker, Jared's Joker. 4 completely different Jokers. That even though Heath was great as one of them, he may not have been great as one of the other ones. So it's hard for us to say who would or would not be good as that character when we don't even know how they're going to write that character yet. You know what I'm saying? But to your point, Wanderer, I am a big Henry Cavill fan, and I think he's a tremendous actor. And if they were to announce he was playing Reed Richards, I think it was great. But of course, there could be 1,000 other guys who could play him well as well. But let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. By the way, Extreme Nation sends in a super chat badge in the live set. Thank you for that, Extreme Nation. Next up, Bad Romance writes, is it possible that Wanda / Scarlet Witch is the equivalent of Jean Grey / Dark Phoenix in the MCU? Yes. WandaVision was in development before Disney got acquisition of Fox properties, correct? I have a feeling SW Saga is coming. I don't know what SW is. SW Saga is coming in MCU, culminating in something big. Well, I mean, yes, as far as I understand, this was well in development before the Fox merger. Kevin Feige said he already had the next 5 years planned out. And with that, it leaves a lot of open doors. So, but yes, in many ways, they're kind of it feels like they're setting up Wanda to maybe be that kind of Dark Phoenix kind of Jean Grey in this universe. It's going to be fun to see where they go with this once this episode is done. It's going to be really fun, Bad Romance. All right, next up, Andreas writes, hey, John and Rob, who's not here right now. I am sorry about my last name, but it's okay. Oh, dude, I didn't even want to take a chance at it. All right, I'm going to take a shot. Giannakopoulos. Giannakopoulos? I don't know. We'll see how I did there. I'm sorry about my last name. That's okay. I know it's difficult, but it doesn't matter. Rob, the other day, make a pretty good effort to say it. LOL. I want personally to say that in these difficult days, you make a great show. Good job. Oh, thank you so much, man. It's always nice when somebody wants to write in and say, just to say something encouraging and nice. And thank you, Andreas. I really appreciate it. And yeah, it's kind of the same reason that whenever I'm talking about Giannis in the Greek freak in the NBA, I never try to say his last name. Man, it took me years to figure out how to say Habib Nurmagomedov. It took me a while to figure out how to say it because I'm the worst with names. But thank you for your understanding on that. And thank you for the kind message, Andreas. I really appreciate that. All right, next up. Andreas also writes, and sending like a $20 tip. Thank you, Andreas. Do you think in the last episode in WandaVision will be the last one of all series? Or because of the story with Bad Vision, could be a season 2 that continues after Doctor Strange 2? Sorry about the name again. Keep it up. Don't apologize for your name. I think this is it. Yeah, I don't think we're getting a Scarlet Witch season 2. I think this is a limited series and that this is it. There won't be any more. Now, it could be wrong about that. There could be more, but I really do think they set it up as a limited series and this will be it. And by the way, because right now, I don't even think Scarlet Witch makes it out of Doctor Strange 2. I think Scarlet Witch dies in Doctor Strange 2. Now that's a long ways off. I could change my mind on that 1,000 times, but it is possible that they could do another season of Scarlet Witch, but I honestly think they've got so many shows to do. I honestly think this will be the final season. I think this is it. I think it's a one-shot limited series, and then we'll see where they go. All right, thanks for that, Andreas. Andreas also writes, did you ever see the documentary Don't F with Cats? Yes. Hunting an Internet Killer, Netflix. If yes, your thoughts. I stayed up all night to see it. Very good documentary. Not for everyone. I freaked out. Listen, I had a bunch of people I know like totally love because it's based on a Canadian thing too. A bunch of people I knew were like, you got to see this. You got to see this. You got to see this. And then when I finally sat down with Anne and watched it, I was like, okay, it's interesting. I think Anne was a lot more into it than I was. But she's really into that stuff. Did you guys see Saturday Night Live last week? Remember that song they did? Murder show, gotta watch my murder show. That's totally my wife and her friend Corey. My wife and Corey, that whole murder show song was all about Anne and Corey. So all that stuff is really, really big. It goes over very, very big with them. But yeah, I thought it was interesting, kind of heartbreaking at the same time, but I wasn't nearly as into it as my wife and Corey was because, yeah, murder show. They're just totally into anything about murder. Totally into anything about murder. All right. Let's see. Next up, Sanji writes, with WandaVision's last episode in a few hours, what was your expectation when announced in 2019 compared to now with this show's season finale coming? And was it a good move for Marvel to move it ahead of Falcon and Winter Soldier against the original plan? Well, I mean, it's impossible for us to say whether it was or wasn't a good move to move it in front of Winter Soldier when we haven't even seen Winter Soldier, right? They're the only ones to know the answer to that. I can tell you this show was nothing of what I was expecting. It turned out to be nothing like I was expecting. And I have been so thoroughly impressed because that's a great thing to say, Sanji. Think back to what we were thinking about in 2019. WandaVision. Oh, that's going to be fun. That could be fun. We like Wanda. We like Vision. That's going to be fun. What they made out of this is nothing short of phenomenal. They took this concept and executed it so well that, yeah, man, I think if I could go back to that 2019 version of us and say, what do you think about this one? Oh, this is going to be fun. Okay. And then show it to my 2019 self. Completely defied expectations. I think it completely defied expectations. I'm not really sure. All right. Next one up comes to us from Jolo Pineapples writes, my WandaVision season ending predictions. Endgame. Wanda kills Vision. Thanos kills Vision. WandaVision, episode 6. Vision is tortured. WandaVision, episode 9. White Vision kills Vision. Wanda kills White Vision. Agent Wu screams, "You bastard," a la South Park. End credits. There you go. No, listen, I am with you, Jolo. I think, just like in Infinity War, not Endgame, Infinity War, just like in Infinity War, where Wanda had to see Vision die twice, I think we are going to kind of get that replicated in the finale. I think she's going to see Vision die twice. The white version of Vision and her made-up make-believe version of Vision. I think she's going to watch them both die. Now, maybe they both live. Maybe they get merged together. I don't know. But my guess is right now, her tragedy is going to just be compiled. And she's going to see him die twice, man. She's going to see him die twice. At least I was thinking. We'll see what happens, J-Lo. All right, Jolo. All right, Calvin Severo Pano writes, John, with Obi-Wan series filming soon and the news that Grogu's origin will be important on season 3 of Mandalorian, any chances we get Ewan and Hayden in a flashback scene with Grogu in Mandalorian season 3? Maybe even a redo of the Temple Massacre. Love the show. Best for you. Oh, is it any... Look, whenever you ask a question that says, is there any chance or could this ever happen? The answer is always yes. Is there any chance we see a flashback? Because remember, we heard Ahsoka talking about that event when she was talking about Grogu, right? We know Grogu was there. We know somebody got him out. And they never revealed in Mandalorian season 2 who was it that got him out. That was a thread they left hanging. And so, yes, I do believe there is... Now, whether or not it'll be Obi-Wan and Anakin, I don't know. But I absolutely believe at some point we're going to get a flashback to that event and we'll find out how did Grogu get out of there. And since I think they're going to do that, Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen appearance in that, sure, that's completely possible. I don't know how likely, but possible? Absolutely. Absolutely absolutely possible. No doubt about it. All right. Next up, Simon Blakemore writes, "Hey, John, how's you and Ann doing? We're doing great, thank you. I was wondering, did you watch Gina Carano interview with Ben Shapiro? His show, what do you think?" No, I'm so over the Gina. That's so far I don't give a shit about it anymore. We talked to Gina Carano. I appreciate you asking, Simon. I do. I appreciate it. But the Gina Carano bullshit situation has been, we talked about it ad nauseum. I'm so over it. I am so over it. So no, I don't give a crap. Anyway, but again, I appreciate you sending that in. All right, Qui-Gon Gin and Tonic writes, bear with me. If we include WandaVision's 9 episode, Falcon's 6 episode, and presume the rest, Loki, What If, Ms. Marvel, Hawkeye, will have 6+, we add Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Eternals, and Spider-Man as one-off episodes. That means 2021 we'll have had a new MCU episode / film to look forward to in 43 of the 52 weeks. And that's assuming the rest of the shows will be 6 episodes. It also assumes someone will watch a film and new episode on separate weeks. Sorry, stats excite me. No, listen, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, that's something that Rob and I were talking about, how crazy it makes this entire year. That it's going to be an odd week when we don't have a new piece of MCU material to watch. Think about that. We are not far removed. We are not far removed at all from when we were like, oh my God, we're getting 3 comic book movies this year. Wow. It's not that long ago when we were freaking out at the idea that we would actually have a couple of... Now we are in a year. Now, granted, all the craziness of 2020 bumping a lot of things into 2021 had something to do with it, but still, we've gone from that, wow, to it's going to be a weird week this year when there isn't a new piece of MCU content to consume. It's wild, Qui-Gon. It's absolutely wild. So, yeah, let's see how this rolls out. Let's see. And that's not including anything that DC is going to do this year. That's not including anything that has to do with the CW shows. That's not including any of that. I mean, literally, we could be looking at a year where we will have more than 52 weeks this year where we're going to have every single week a new piece of comic book material in one way, shape, or form available for us to watch and consume. It's pretty exciting stuff. All right, next up, G Money writes, hi, John. I think we would all love to hear the details of what happened with you and the inhuman monstrosities that inhabit the AMC Theaters HR department. If you need catharsis, LOL, have a good day. Well, I've actually told the story before. Here's the quick 2 minutes Coles notes, all right? Quick 2 minutes Coles notes. AMC Movie News was growing at a rate that nobody at AMC thought was possible. They started putting us on the pre-shows on the big screens. They start showing clips and ads from AMC Movie Talk, all that kind of stuff. And then the HR department, you know what? I'm not going to go into it fully again. I'm not going to go into all the wins. Needless to say, there are a bunch of fucking morons at AMC's HR department. They're a bunch of fucking morons. What they did was they fired my boss from doing nothing wrong. My boss got permission to do each of the things he did, to do the things that I needed done so we could build AMC Movie News. And he got permission every step of the way. And then later the HR department said, you didn't follow proper procedure. And they fired him for it. So I'm like, fuck you, I'm leaving too. And then the vice president of AMC said, whoa, let's talk about this. Let's figure this out, blah, blah, blah. And my boss who they fired, the guy who recruited me to AMC, he even got in touch with me and said, whoa, just hear them out. Just because I'm gone doesn't mean you need to be gone. And then I finally said, okay, after weeks of contemplating ditching them because of what they did to my boss, I finally decided, okay, I'll stay. And then the same fucking imbeciles in HR send me a reprimand letter for the fact that we did things like when we were acquiring equipment that we didn't follow the official AMC procedure for buying equipment. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. I was directed by my boss to buy it that way. And my boss got permission from the executives at AMC for us to do it this way. And now you're saying, and you're giving me a reprimand letter? So I was like, fuck this, I'm out. I wrote a letter to the CEO of AMC, who was a great CEO. And I told him, I'm gone. You guys are idiots. Well, at least your HR department are idiots. They just wanted, there's some new execs in the HR department. They wanted to throw their weight around and show, look how in control we are. And they're a bunch of fucking morons. And so this AMC Movie News division that was growing like gangbusters, we were winning awards, we were doing all this kind of stuff, and it all had our heels slit open by some fucking attention-grabbing monkeys in their HR department. So anyway, that's the long and the short of it. I could go on for hours. Literally, I could go on for hours about it, but that's the basic in and out of it. So I split. I became a free agent, had a lot of offers on the table, ended up accepting an offer from Complex to go and run form and build Collider, the Collider YouTube channel, and making a new division called Collider Video, and the rest was history from there. So there you go. Anyway, let's move on. Luke writes, hey John, one of two. Watch Nomadland. It's fantastic. This past weekend, really trying to gauge how to word this. I feel as though parts of this film were made for me, having been to a handful of the locations myself, Waldrug, Yellowstone, Badlands. I have to disagree with the overall assessment of this, that this phone is something great. Well, I don't think it's bad by any means. I just don't find it to be anything special. I understand that quiet, moody dramas are the films that attract Oscar attention. I just found myself kind of rejoicing once it was over. Not to say I didn't enjoy any aspect of the film. I did. I just don't see it as a powerhouse. Obviously, the film is subjective. Just throwing my thoughts out there to see if others feel similarly. Happy I'm able to share. And listen, man, that's the great thing about movies, man, is that they're all subjective. We all have our different interpretations of them. Film is art. It hits us in different ways. And listen, the power to me of Nomadland is it's not a WandaVision. It's not big explosions. It's not big reveals. It's not that. It's a storyteller, and this is what takes the most skilled storytellers in the world. The thing that takes the most skilled storytellers in the world to do is to make it, how do you put it? When you can actually feel yourself in the shoes of the character and you feel the drama just of the life of the character. And as you look at Frances McDormand as she's going around in this and the experience she has and the things that happen to her and just the way she looks at things, it was amazingly emotionally resonant to me. And I think that's what is catching a lot of people's attention is how Chloe Zhao, the director of this movie, who is also directing The Eternals for Marvel, is able to just on that level plug into an audience and plug into the real, the resonance of the emotionality of the entire thing. You feel like you're walking in their shoes. You feel like she's building this world image for us of the world that she lives in. And I thought it was incredibly well done. But again, it's a piece of art, which means it strikes us differently. And if you didn't have that experience with it, that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with your perception. It just means that it didn't hit you the right way. Just like there's some films that don't hit me the right way. And there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, to me, when I finally saw it, I was like, oh my God, this girl is directing Eternals? Holy shit. Because if she can work with this type of an idea and make something so powerful, imagine what she can do while having superheroes and superpowers and all these things to add into her incredible character building. I'm super stoked for it. I am super, super, super stoked for it. Cannot wait. Okay, next up, G Money writes, hey, John, you said in the past that the DCU and the MCU are in somewhat mutualistic relationship. Yeah, they are. I.e. one does well, the other benefits. Do you think that a multiverse type crossover, something small like a single DCU character showing up in an MCU movie or vice versa, is something highly unlikely considering it would likely benefit both franchises? Thanks for all you do. No, I don't think it's realistic at all. I really don't think that's going to happen. Now, look. Time in the movie industry moves way faster. So 5 years is an eternity. So when I say I don't ever see that happening, what I'm really saying is I don't see that happening in the foreseeable future. Like the way things are right now, that ain't going to happen in the next 5 years. Now, after 5 years, who knows? I mean, anything can happen after the next 5 years. To anything is possible after that. But I really don't see either company being at all interested in that. Plus, it would just be a gimmick. It would just be a gimmick. Like, there's no narrative draw to doing that. It's just a gimmick. So I don't see it happening in the next number of years. I mean, even in the comics, they could barely make it ever happen in the comics. Like in the 60, 70 year thing of the history of DC and Marvel, what, 3 or 4 times? Maybe it's a little bit more, but I feel like it's 3 or 4 times that they've actually been able to make a legitimate crossover just in the comics. And that's infinitely easier to do. And they're never even able to make that happen there. So I'm going to say no. After 5-10 years, that's an entire eternity away. Who knows what happens after that? But at least in the foreseeable future, I don't see it happening. But again, we live in a world where anything is possible, G-Money. Anything is possible. All right, next up. Kevin Malone's Turtle writes, hey, John, big fan of movie trailers, A Love Story. Thank you so much. And listen, just for those you may not know, I'll take this opportunity, of course, to plug my little movie. My documentary about movie trailers called Movie Trailers, A Love Story is up and available now. It is available worldwide, whatever country you live in. It is available at vimeo.com/on-demand/movie trailers. You can go watch it there. But if you happen to live in the US or the UK, You can also watch it on Amazon. Simply go to Amazon and search for Movie Trailers, A Love Story, and you will find it there. And a big thank you to all of you guys who have checked it out. As a matter of fact, let me just check out something here. Movie Trailers, A Love Story. Let me see if I can find it here on Prime Video. And yeah, again, a big thank you to all of you guys for this, because right now, like the ratings on the movie have been fantastic. You guys, the ratings, the reviews you guys have been leaving have been absolutely fantastic. Thank you guys so much for your support of the movie. It means a lot to me. And, you know, Rob helped me out with the movie and everybody involved with the documentary. Your support has meant the world to us. So thank you so much for all that. And if you haven't checked it out yet, please do go and check it out when you get the chance. Anyway, let's get back to the question. And thank you again for giving me an excuse to plug my movie. Okay, so big fan of Movie Trailers, Love Story. Thank you so much for that. My question is, had the Godzilla vs. Kong trailer dropped before your documentary, would you have included it in the documentary? Initially, I wasn't hyped, but that trailer really got me excited to see it in theaters. You know what? The Godzilla vs. Kong trailer is my favorite trailer since Logan. I don't like that Logan Johnny Cash trailer. I haven't seen a better trailer since then. So I would say that the Godzilla vs. Kong trailer is the best trailer I've seen in a couple of years. It's the best one since the Logan trailer. Would I have included it in my documentary? Probably not. Because from the narrative in the documentary, there was really nowhere for that trailer to be. You know what I'm saying? There's no part of that movie, of our documentary, that the Godzilla vs. Kong trailer, and I wouldn't have put it in just because it's one of my favorite trailers. So no, I probably wouldn't have put it in there. Good question though. Thanks for asking. Next up, Zach writes, hey, John and crew, from a fellow Canadian kid. Good to have you here. Thanks for the amazing work you do. Really enjoy your shows. Thank you so much, my friend. Do you think there's going to be a line between the Hex in WandaVision with the X gene going forward in the MCU? No, I don't. That is a popular theory though, Zach. You're not alone in wondering that. There's a lot of people who think that the whole thing, that maybe even Monica going in and out is what triggers the X gene or creates the X gene. And maybe there's something to that. I'm not saying it's impossible. There could be. But if you're asking me if that's what I actually think right now, I think no. But we may, hey, listen, in 34 hours, we are going to find out. And maybe they will say there is. Maybe they're going to introduce the whole idea of the X gene. I have a feeling they're not. So I'm going to guess. My guess right now, my guess is no. They're not going to draw a connection between the Hex and the mutation and stuff like that. I don't think they are. But it's not impossible. And you're not alone in thinking that, Zach. So let's see. Narf writes, what a bold dick move by Texas to make believe Corona is over by reopening everything 100% and no mask mandate. This whole thing will never end. It's kind of like Skynet. Yeah, look, you know, my position on this is this. This isn't a political position. This is common sense. Listen to doctors, listen to science. But I have been very encouraged lately to see how in California and around the country, the new case rates have dropping rapidly. I thought the new administration's initial claim that they could have 100 million vaccinations within the first 100 days, I thought that was overly optimistic, but it looks like they're going to be like 3 times faster than that, which is very encouraging. We're seeing more and more available hospital beds. These are all good signs. I've always feared that when things start to look good, people think, oh, then in that case, we don't have to be careful anymore. It's like this. Imagine you jump out of a plane and you've got a parachute and you pull the parachute because you want to save your life. And so your fall slows down and now you're falling very slowly. And when you're still 1,000 feet off the ground, you go, well, hey, look, things are much better now because I'm falling slowly. I guess I can take the parachute off now. And then you fall 1,000 feet. And I just, that has been my biggest worry, is that whatever political persuasion you are, it doesn't matter. There are stupid, guess what? There's enough stupid people in this world for all political persuasions. Stupid isn't limited to one political persuasion, ladies and gentlemen. Stupid crosses all gender, sexuality, nationality, political persuasions. Stupid, there's plenty of stupid to go around in the world. And I think we're seeing our more stupid tendencies kick in when we go, oh, things are better now? Great, we don't have to be careful anymore. It's like, that's how you undo all your progress. So yeah, it is concerning. It is concerning. It's absolutely concerning. But I mean, if they can continue to roll out vaccines, and I'm no medical expert, but if they can continue to roll out vaccines as quickly as they can, then maybe science can trump stupid. That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping science can trump stupid. And maybe they can get the vaccines out fast enough. I don't know. But again, I'm not an expert on this. I just want to get our lives back. I just want to get our regular way of life back. And it frustrates me when I see people that are hindering our efforts to get our lives back. But I don't know, man. Whatever. We'll see. All right. Let's see. Where were we at? That was NARF. Okay, next up. Calvin Cervero Pano writes, John, I'm not expecting to see X-Men and WandaVision, but I believe you hold on too much to this 5-year plan. COVID happened. Falcon and Winter Soldier was supposed to come out before Wanda. Eternals was supposed to come before Shang-Chi. Plans changed everywhere. Yeah, but what does that have to do? What does that have to do with this? Look, I have always said Kevin Feige is human and he could change his mind. But we haven't seen any indication that he has. That doesn't mean he hasn't, and that doesn't mean he can't. I'm just saying, what are the facts? Here is a fact. When Fox got taken over by Disney, Kevin Feige said, I've already got the next 5 years planned out, and I'm not going to introduce X-Men, mutants, and stuff like that until after those 5 years. We recently heard him announce a Fantastic Four movie at the thing, and guess when? 5 years after he said that I've got the next 5 years planned out. So until then, that's the fact. That's a fact. That's a fact. Now, can he change his mind? I've always said it's possible that he could change his mind, but so far we've seen no evidence that he has. We've seen no evidence that he has. Now, episode 9 could come and we could see Wanda goes, I am the world's first mutant. I mean, maybe. And then that would be evidence that Kevin Feige has changed his mind. And yeah, that is totally possible. But until there is evidence to go against the other evidence, Kevin Feige said, I got the next 5 years planned out, no mutants until then. Okay, so I believe him. Can he change his mind? Absolutely. It's absolutely a possibility. But until we see evidence to suggest that he has, I'm going to continue just believing him. And once we have evidence that he's changed his mind, well, then that changes things. But until then, I'm just going to believe that he's going to stick with what he said he was going to do. For now. But, you change your mind, I change my mind. Let's see what happens. Once we have evidence, then I will shift my way of thinking. Until then, the only evidence I've seen is that Kevin Feige said he's waiting 5 years. So I'm relying on that for now. For now. But we'll see, man. Episode 9 is coming soon, and we'll finally get our answers. Whether there are mutants, whether there aren't mutants, whatever. Either way, it's going to be great. It's going to be great either way, and then we'll have our answer. All right. Thanks for that, Calvin. Next up. The Wakandan Forever writes, the excitement for WandaVision is insane. In my opinion, the dusting in Infinity War and lead up to Endgame was the most intense I'd ever seen a fan base. I say the ending of WandaVision is the second most anticipated event in the MCU. Where do you rank it? Oh, I don't know that I'd say that. But what is really interesting about WandaVision is that WandaVision has become the first, since it's the first MCU Disney Plus show, it's like an Endgame in and of itself, because with Endgame, we had 10 years over like a 20 plus films to build up and culminate this story that climaxed in Endgame, right? WandaVision is kind of like a microcosm of that. We've had 8 episodes. We've had 8 movies. I mean, very, very short movies, but we've had 8 episodes building up to a climax. So it is kind of a microcosm of what Endgame was for the MCU overall, right? I don't know that I'd say it's the second most anticipated thing. I mean, when people knew that Spider-Man was going to show up in Civil War, that was pretty anticipated. I mean, that was very, very highly anticipated. I don't know if I'd put it on the level of that yet, but it is up there because, again, it's a microcosm of what Endgame was for the whole MCU. It's a really interesting thing for us to watch. All right, anyway, Chloe Fanning writes, growing up as a teenager, a couple of fun getaway movies for me was always License to Drive and Dream a Little Dream with the 2 Coreys. What gateway fun movies did you watch growing up as a teenager? I'm not quite sure what you mean by gateway, but I mean, a lot of the ones that kind of stuck, I know I talk about this movie all the time, was Megaforce. I loved Megaforce. Let me see if I can find it up here. Hold a second. Megaforce. I don't even know if IMDb will list it. No, there it is. Now, granted, I wasn't a teenager yet. I mean, I was still well under a teenager, but oh my goodness, Megaforce. Deeds, not words. Deeds, not words. With Ace Hunter, the leader of Megaforce. Basically, Megaforce was a poor man's G.I. Joe. Megaforce is kind of G.I. Joe. There was this elite military force put together by a bunch of world governments to secretly fight world terrorist threats, right? And it was led by a guy named Ace. And that, to me, was that and the Shokasagi Ninja movies. Megaforce and the Shokasagi Ninja movies are the ones that I always kind of got to. So those are the ones I would kind of put up there. All right, Sam Phillip. Thanks for that, Chloe. Sam Phillip writes, hey, John, something doesn't add up for me. Why would DC have Henry Cavill play Superman in supporting roles, but then just reboot him for the solo movies and have someone else playing him? But I still feel confident Cavill will play Superman again, though. Well, I mean, again, the big thing is just look at what's happening with Batman with Robert Pattinson, right? Robert Pattinson is playing Batman in an isolated pocket. It's its own universe, right? Meanwhile, Ben Affleck is going to be Batman again, although maybe just for one time, but still he's going to be Ben Affleck Batman again in Flash. Michael Keaton there too, right? So we have multiple universes going on where they get different things. For all we know, and I don't know this, I'm just speculating as a fan here. I don't have any insider information on this. For all we know, this J.J. Abrams Superman is going to be like that Batman movie. It's going to be its own universe. This is not going to be connected to the DCEU for all we know. And if that's the case, then Henry Cavill can still pop up in other DCEU connected movies as Superman, just like Ben Affleck can pop up in the Flash DCEU movie while Robert Pattinson's going to be Batman in a different universe. So I'm not saying that's what they're doing. And Riley Johnston sends in a super chat badge in the live chat. Thank you, Riley. I'm not saying that is absolutely what they're doing. I'm just saying that is clearly one of the possibilities. So we can have J.J. Abrams do a different Superman, and he may use Henry Cavill. We don't know, but maybe not. But even if they don't use him over there, he still could theoretically be Superman in these other things. And there have been reports to that end as well. So we'll find out. We'll find out soon enough. All right. Next up, War Doctor 10 writes, hey, John and Rob, I wanted to clarify a message I sent in last week. Yes, Disney is sunsetting the iteration of the annual pass holder program, but they will be bringing annual passes back in some form in the future. Thoughts? Yes, so they say. So they say. I am so pissed off at Disney right now for that whole bullshit that I had an annual pass and they just canceled it. They refunded me. Fair play. But we entered into an agreement. I give you this money. You give me 12 months of, while Disneyland's open, access to the park. And they just reneged. And I don't know. It bothers me. And they say they're going to reintroduce it. Okay, then why haven't you just done it? I don't know. To me, it feels shady, and maybe I'm being overly skeptical, maybe, but I don't them saying they're going to do something doesn't mean much to me right now. We'll see. We'll see. All right. Next up. Where are we at here? Hold second. There we are. Next up is War Doctor. And War Doctor writes, already did that one. Riley Johnson writes, "Hey, John, big fan. Thank you, Riley. I wanted to disagree with a comment from the companion video. Don't you think that breaking the boundaries and putting new voices on the screen is more important than being traditional? I completely respect your opinion. Take care, man." So what's this? Where this is coming from is that during the Superman debate about, whether they should change Superman from white to black in some new iteration. My point of view is this, is obviously, I don't think there's no compelling reason why you must keep Superman, the color of this alien organism, Superman, Kal-El of Krypton. I don't believe there's any legitimate, compelling argument why you must keep his skin pigmentation white. However, I said, I am a bit of a traditionalist. So if I were producing a Superman movie, I would probably stick with a white Superman just because traditionally that's what he's been. There has been a black Superman in the comics, but traditionally he's been white. So I would probably do that. But there's no reason why you have to do that. You can do it either way. Me personally, I'd probably make him white just because that's how I kind of know my Superman. I don't think there's a compelling reason either way. Honestly, I don't think there is any compelling reason why you must make him white, or why you must make him black, or why you must make him Asian, or why you must make him Indian, or you must make him anything. I think with the character of Superman, you're pretty much free to do almost anything with him ethnicity-wise. So I don't think there's any compelling reason for anyway. So that's why, for me personally, I would probably make him white just because I'm a little bit more of a traditionalist. I think another filmmaker may want to take a crack at making him Asian because they want to do something a little more outside the box. And I don't think there's any compelling reason why any of them can't be done. But that's just the one I would lean towards. And no, I don't, listen, just keeping things the same for the sake of keeping them the same is not a good argument. But changing something just for the sake of changing something is also not a good argument. So neither side has a solid argument there. I think it's really up to whatever the storyteller wants to do. And if the storyteller does something interesting and fun and engaging and it works, great. And if they don't, okay, it didn't work. You go and try something else later. So that's kind of my take on it anyway, Riley. Thanks for sharing your thoughts, man. I appreciate that. Next up, Justin Danford writes, one of two. Continuing from my theory that White Vision is the shark, Tuesday's companion video, and that he's unstoppable in the Hex, so she'll have to drop it to defeat him. I think Clint is the only cameo. Her kids will vanish, and he'll tell her, "Wanda, I know how it feels." Oh, that would be a powerful line. "You have to come with us now, Wanda. Completely broken. She'll look up with red eyes, a crown of red magic forming. Wanda, no more Wanda. I am the Scarlet Witch." Credits. The Scarlet Witch will return in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. I like that. Oh, that would be powerful. Now, I don't know if that's what they're doing. But listen, I've said for a long time, that to me, the most common sense Avenger cameo is Hawkeye. That's the one that makes the most sense. I think even more sense than Doctor Strange, because she doesn't have a closer person in the world that's alive than Clint. Hawkeye is her closest friend. He was there with her in Age of Ultron. He's the one who rescued her from the compound in Civil War. And at the end of Endgame, it was Hawkeye and Wanda commiserating together, talking at Tony's funeral. He's the one. So that, and Hawkeye has his own standalone Disney Plus show coming. That's the one that makes the most sense to me. Totally Doctor Strange is possible. Absolutely. It very well could be Doctor Strange. But I like that. That's a very good ending. Come with us. And instead of saying no more mutants, no more children, whatever, she says, "There's no more Wanda. No more Wanda. I am the Scarlet Witch." And then the Scarlet Witch will return. That's a pretty good theory there, Justin. That's a pretty good theory. I like that. That's giving me kind of chills thinking about it. Let's see what they do. We only got like 34 hours to go, 33 hours to go and counting. All right, Joey Nato writes, and tips in like $20. Thank you, Joey. Obsessed with this show, theory videos, etc. But I gotta say, Paul was 500% talking about himself. In the interview mentioning the cameo, he said it was an actor he's been waiting to work with his whole life. So it's either him or his mom. Maybe, but hey, listen, don't discount. There's a theory out there, Joey, that it could be an Al Pacino. Because Al Pacino we covered stories about this back when I was still doing movie talk. Al Pacino has said publicly that, yeah, he'd be down for being in an MCU movie and stuff like that. That got people talking. So you very well could be right here, Joey. You very well could be right that maybe he was talking about himself. I don't think he was. I still think we're getting a big character reveal. I think we're getting a big actor reveal. Now, whether that's an Al Pacino or somebody else, I don't know. But I think somebody's showing up. But maybe you're right. Maybe it will be. He's talking about himself. All right. Eric, Basement Dweller, writes, greetings from Mexico City. Thanks for writing, Eric. Thanks for all the effort you put into your show. Question. Why are so many producers credited in a feature film? I've counted up to 12 between executive producers, co-producers. Oh, listen, I've talked about that many times, and you're right. The term producer in movies is the most nebulous term because it can mean anything. Like literally, the producer of a movie is like the person most responsible for a film. Put all the pieces together on the board, is the one who got the script developed, went out and got the director, coordinated with the director, make sure everything was there in place for the director to go and do his job and put all the pieces together, make sure all the funding was there, blah, blah, blah. Like worked for years and years and years and years. Then somebody, and this has happened with Steven Spielberg a number of times, somebody can just take a meeting with Steven Spielberg and get some advice, and then Steven Spielberg gets a producer credit. It has literally happened where some guy says, oh, you want this actor in your movie? Well, I know this actor. If you want, I can arrange a sit down. I can go and vouch for you. I can get this actor to come in and sit down with you and talk about it. And I can set that meeting up. And that guy gets a producer's credit. Associate producer, co-producer, associate producer, executive producer, whatever. But it really is a very, very nebulous term. And it's very shaky. So that's why sometimes, and it's unfortunate because it often means the real producer of the movie or producers, if there's like two or three, don't often get enough credit because that term producer is thrown around so loosely. It's a great question, Eric, and it's a valid one to bring up. All right, Donnie Yasu writes, over or under 50% of seeing Mordo or Mephisto appear in a post-credit scene for WandaVision. Those are two very different characters. I'll go under 50%, but with Mordo, even though I'll take under 50%, it's not a tiny percentage. I give it like a good 15, 20%. So well under 50, but I'd give it I'd still say there's a good chance there because of course his connection to Doctor Strange, he hates witches and sorcerers and all that kind of stuff. It could play in there, All right, next up, Dwayne Woodley writes, hey, John, I don't know why some folks are tripping about a black Superman. I don't care either way myself. Some peeps racism is showing. It's like Chris Rock says from Dogma, a black man can steal your stereo, but he can't be your savior. I mean, look, listen, a lot of people, here's the thing though, about the Superman issue. Let's be very, very clear. All right. Just because somebody doesn't want a black Superman doesn't mean they're being racist. I think there's a lot of people who are just even more traditionalist than me. It's just that we've always had our Superman that color, right? That's just the way he's always looked. I liken it unto this. When the Wolverine character in movies never wore the yellow spandex, there's a lot of people today that rubs them the wrong way. You'd be surprised how many emails I've gotten over the years from people still really pissed off that we haven't had Wolverine in his proper costume. which is the yellow and black spandex thing with the big eye things, right? To them, it's just about that's how they think of Wolverine. And how you think of Wolverine or how you think of a particular favorite character becomes very important to you. To you. Doesn't mean it's actually important, but it's important to you. Now, that doesn't mean that they're against, what was he normally worn? Black leather? That's normally Hugh Jackman wears like black leather in the movies, I guess. It doesn't mean they have anything against black leather. It just means that for them, when they think of Wolverine, they think of him in that yellow and black spandex. And I think that same principle applies to the Superman thing. There is no good reason why Superman needs to be white, but for a lot of people, just when they think of Superman, that's the image of Superman they have, because that's the image of Superman they've always seen. And it becomes special to them, just like the yellow and black spandex of Wolverine becomes special to those people. Now, look, are there some people out there that are just idiotically racist and just don't want a black Superman because they don't want a black Superman? Sure, I'm sure there are some. But I think a lot of the pushback you see isn't about racism, although I'm sure some of it is. I think a lot of it is just that people are just really attached to their own idea of what that character looks like and what that character is. So, yeah. But I just hope more and more people understand that while you may have your own personal thing for that, it's not actually a legitimate argument for the overall picture of it. But I don't know. We'll see where we go. Anyway, that's just my thought of it. That's just my take on it. All right. Thanks for writing in your thoughts there, Dwayne. All right. Next up, Adam K writes, you've said that this year's Oscars shouldn't happen because few films are competing. I didn't say few films are competing. Don't misrepresent what I said. So any win would come with an asterisk, but it was announced that 366 films are eligible for this year's Oscars, the most in 50 years. Competition is not an issue. Adam, you are leaving out a very, very important detail there. The very important detail, this year, the Academy completely changed their rules of eligibility. That 366 eligible films thing is a mirage because they changed the eligibility rules this year. And it's still not representative of what a normal Oscars year looks like. And so, no, I stand by my opinion on this. I do not think there should be an Oscars this year. I think this year had too much upheaval, had too much irregularities, all this type of stuff. It's that I think any results this year are going to have to come with an asterisk on it. I really do. I still think that way. And that's great to say more eligible films than ever. Yeah, but they completely changed the eligibility rules. They completely changed the rules. It's like saying this year we have more millionaires than ever. Well, yeah, but that's because an alien came down and gave 80,000 people $1 million. So, I mean, that doesn't really tell us anything, right? Anyway, that's just kind of my take on it. That's just my take. All right, next up. Where are we at? BK Dan writes, I was a play tester for the 5th edition of D&D. Nice. Definitely intrigued for the movie, but I gotta hope it's not cursed from the original movie. Oh, listen, I agree. Because look, one of the key things here, it's like my damn thing is freezing. 1 second. Okay, hold on a second. All right. Nope, it's still not rolling. My preview window is frozen. Are you guys still able to see me okay? Am I still rolling for you guys? Do you still see me moving and hearing and listening to me talking? Or you guys are saying yes. Okay, my preview window is a little bit frozen. But okay. If you guys can still see me going though, that's the only important thing. Okay. Let's continue on. Thank you guys. Oh, you guys, thank you for your responses. Cruddy and James and Nofu and AP and Max. I appreciate it, guys. All right. So where are we at here? Oh, yeah, 5th edition is not because, yeah, because that first movie, man, was so bad. So outrageously bad. I really have high hopes that they're able to make this next one good. I really hope they do. All right. Sam Fisher writes, what if the mutants are on a secluded island and secluded themselves so long ago that the world forgot about them? Well, that's not how mutation works. Mutation means any mutant can be born anywhere across the world at any time. So, forgot about them, like the Inhumans and their city at Atalan. This might be a cheap way to do it, but it works especially given Jonathan Hickman's current X-Men run. I mean, you could do that, but to me, the problem I have, and again, I fully admit that I'm one of the most annoying people. I'm the person who says why your solution can't work, but I don't have any better idea. I mean, that's very annoying. That is a very annoying trait. So I have no good solution, but the reason I don't like that solution is that because it completely ignores what evolution is supposed to be. And remember, mutation is supposed to be an extension of evolution. That means any child anywhere on the planet and any given day can be born a mutant. And then that mutation and puberty can manifest at any time. And so they would have to go back and we would have to go in and retcon that entire pivotal part of what the story of mutants are. But they have to come up with something. So maybe the island of Genosha becomes the thing that they go with. I don't know. Maybe yes, maybe no. All right. Shadow Jester writes, hello, John and Rob. Earlier in time, you said that what Wanda's done is unforgivable, but what is worse? The Hex, no more than 72 hours, or Black Friday, people trampled to death, or Fire Festival. You said it hijacked their lives, caused pain, and they all fit. Well, no, there's a different thing. At least with Fire Festival, they tried to do something fun. I mean, they were idiots, yes, and they did some really stupid things. Wanda literally, and I never said what she did was unforgivable, like she has to be given the death sentence. I'm not saying that, but Wanda literally walked into a town, took people prisoner against their will, usurped an entire town with thousands of people, took away their free will, turned them into puppets, caused them great pain, and hijacked their lives from them. Don't downplay what Wanda has done to these people. It is an incredible violation, what she has done. It's not some little thing. She didn't accidentally spill a jug of milk. Like, I understand she's a hero and we empathize with her and we love Wanda, but do not downplay what it is she has done here. We know she did it out of pain. We know she was just trying to get the things she loves back. We know all that. But at the end of the day, she took an entire town and thousands of people against their will, hostage, took away their most precious thing, which is their free will, caused them constant pain. You saw that one woman, tears coming out of her eyes as she's doing the thing like this, and Vision sees her and she's got tears coming out. We saw what happened with Vision's coworker when taken out of the transfer moment, like just all this kind of stuff. You cannot forget, that is one of the pivotal foundational understandings of this show, is that Wanda has done something unspeakable. Now, she didn't murder 1,000 people. She didn't create genocide. No. But don't lose sight that she has violated thousands of people. And there's going to have to be a reckoning for that in some way, shape, or form. And it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see how they kind of deal with that. All right. BK Dan writes, hey, John, I think the ultimate crossover will happen. James Spader is doing the voice of White Vision. The ultimate crossover, Stargate, the movie actor who's also in the MCU. Stargate, listen, I still like that original Stargate movie. I mean, everybody talks about the Stargate show for good reason. It was great, but I still love that original Stargate movie. And James Spader, ladies and gentlemen, a very different looking James Spader in that one. But yeah, man, I've gotten warmed up more and more to that theory that we may end up seeing Ultron's voice coming out of the White Vision. I'm not saying that's what I think will happen, but I have warmed up to that idea more and more. All right. Oh my gosh, we've gone over 3 hours already. All right, I'll tell you what, guys. We'll go for a couple more minutes and then we'll wrap it up. Justin M. writes, I think Hayward's only sins are being kind of a dick and messing with things he doesn't understand. I 1,000% agree, Justin. I think him possibly being a villain is just a red herring, and he's going to get straight up murdered by White Vision. Maybe like Dr. Frankenstein and his monster. I don't disagree. Either way, another viewer brought this up the other day, and I kind of agree. I think when WandaVision ends, he's not the director of S.W.O.R.D. anymore. Either because he dies, or he just comes to just totally know that Monica is the proper heir to take over things for her mother at S.W.O.R.D., or he just gets fired, or I don't know. I think Monica ends up being the director of S.W.O.R.D. But again, I don't think it's because Hayward's a villain. Maybe he's just an ass, and maybe a little bit incompetent, but that's the way I think it's going to go. We'll see, man. We'll see. All right, next up, BK Dan writes, hey, John, Franklin was assimilated like so many humans by the Borg. Star Trek / MCU crossover confirmed. Resistance is futile. You will be assimilated. All we need now is Locutus. That's it. That's it. Patrick Stewart shows up, but not as Professor Xavier. He shows up as Locutus of Borg, working with Wanda to assimilate everybody in the thing. The ultimate crossover done right there. All right, James writes, hey, I think the number one question to ask is what is the symbolism of the bird all about, and why couldn't Wanda... Wait a second. What is the symbolism of the bird, and what about why couldn't want to get rid of it? Was it her, Agatha, or someone else? I don't know exactly what it is you're talking about, James. I'm going to assume you're talking about the stork. I honestly, this stork was nothing. I think the stork was a visual sitcom gag. Babies were coming. Stork! And it just became a comedic thing. A lot of people thought the stork is Mephisto in this. I think at the end of the day, the stork is going to end up being, just a nothing. It was just a visual comedy gag of the sitcom, I think. But we'll find out in 30-something hours, man. We will find out in 30-something hours. All right. Ramsey Arroyo writes, hey, John, is Agatha really the villain? Maybe, maybe not. She seems more defensive than offensive, as if Wanda was breaking some unwritten rules that witches / sorcerers have to follow. Maybe that's why Doctor Strange has to intervene. Just a thought. Again, that's what Rob and I have been speculating, is that, look, in the comics, and again, comics are the comics, they're not the movies and TV shows. They're two different things. But the movies and TV shows can borrow themes from the comics from time to time. In the comics, Agatha is something of a mentor to Wanda, sometimes in very important ways. The one thing about that, though, is how did last week's episode end? It ended with Agatha literally with nooses around her children's throats. That's kind of evil. Unless, of course, Agatha just knows these kids aren't even real anyway, so it doesn't matter. But still, it's hard not to see Agatha maybe as a villain when literally the episode's ends with her having nooses around children's throats. But listen, I thought from the beginning, and I still think so now, the villain of WandaVision, the villain of WandaVision is Wanda. I think that's what it's ultimately going to come down to. The villain of WandaVision is Wanda. There might be some outside influences that are also dark influences and other players involved, but I think when it all comes down to it, at the end of the day, the villain of WandaVision is, even if she didn't mean to be, is Wanda. I think she's the thing. But we'll find out, Ramsey. We'll find out. All right. Last question we'll take today, guys. And I know we got so close to getting through all of them. But we are out of time here. Jared Leon writes, First of all, for answering my first ever question yesterday. Oh, there you go. I've been watching you since AMC, and even though I've tipped you once before, yesterday was my first question ever. Also, I guess you were one that we used for the main topics. Also, later tonight, I will be watching your documentary, probably on Amazon. Well, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it, and thank you for supporting our channel. Thank you for supporting my movie. I appreciate that very much, and it's really good to have you here, and I'm glad your question got on. Well, listen, I said we would take one more question since Gerard, I should say. Since Gerard didn't actually have a question, let's go to one more. All right. Regarding WandaVision writes, one of two. I've got a theory. It's a demon. A dancing demon? No, something isn't right there. I've got a theory. Some kid is dreaming and we're all stuck inside his wacky Broadway nightmare. I've got a theory. It could be witches, some evil witches, which is ridiculous because witches, they were persecuted. Wicca, good and love the earth, and women power, and I'll be over here. That almost sounds like a song lyric. Is that a song lyric? I don't recognize it. It sounded like that was actually song lyric. Listen, I think you're right. I think, at least as far as we shouldn't automatically think that in the MCU, that witches are evil. Somebody's saying, it's Casey McNabb saying that's a Buffy reference. Maybe it could be. Yes, maybe it is a Buffy. It's a song lyric. Yes. Oh, from Angel. Other people are saying from Angel. I preferred Angel over Buffy. Just me. Anyway, but it does raise an interesting point. When you look back at the beginning of that last episode with Salem, it's kind of, the implication is that those witches weren't evil. Because remember, what does Wanda say to her mother before it all ends? She goes, I can be good. And the mother said, no, you can't. It's like, maybe the witches in and of themselves aren't inherently bad, and we all just kind of assume that they are. Maybe, could be, possibly. We'll find out. All right, guys, listen. For everybody else, Gerard, Sin Vendetta, and Casey McNatt, and all the questions that you see, these ones are just sent in an hour ago. We're all so close to being completely caught up. But do not worry, guys. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a companion video a little bit later this afternoon, and we will get through all the remaining questions that got sent in today. And we'll be all, just like we did yesterday, we got all caught up on yesterday's questions. We will get all caught up on today's questions as well. So any remaining questions that we didn't get to here today will be answered in a companion video that I'll put up a little bit later this evening. So make sure you guys come back and check that out. All right, guys. This has been a long one. We've gone 3 hours and 15 minutes today. My throat is killing me. That will do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Just want to remind you guys one more time. Not only tomorrow do we have the John Campea Show in the morning, but also tomorrow afternoon, we have our final WandaVision pregame show, just hours before the final episode of WandaVision, where we're going to get together and just throw out every prediction and thought and idea and whatever theory we have about the final episode of WandaVision. Please make sure to not only join us for the John Campea Show tomorrow, but then to join us for that pregame show that'll be later on in the afternoon. Guys, thank you so much for being here and spending part of your day here with us. Thanks to Robert Meyer Burnett for spending his day here with us as well. And a special thank you to all of you guys who sent in the live questions. Number one, because you give us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it. And all of us involved with the John Campea Show, thank you guys very, very much for your support. All right, guys, don't forget, do the four main things. Stay smart, stay safe, take care of yourselves, and please take care of the people around you. That'll do it for me for now, guys. Thanks a lot for being here. My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.